right?
Yeah,
Okay. I think it's gonna be a really tight game.
I think so too. I think both of them are. They're so close to each other.
Yeah, I think this one's gonna be a little bit better. I don't know though. Goober Squad can be kind of inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, they only lost one round last night.
Very true, very true.
So, all right, I need to make the tweet. Seeing that we're live.
Clubhouse Coastline Villa. Who are you predicting?
Sills Gorillas.
I was leaning them too, but I feel like these maps I'm liking our battle a little bit more after I'm seeing.
I haven't really seen them play all that much, but I know that Sills Gorillas are really unpredictable and they can catch a lot of teams off guard with how they play. And if Dokubi's on the board, or any machine pistols on the board, Abonai is just gonna go to absolute town and just destroy people.
These guys played once in the open qualifiers, and I casted that match, and it was a 7-3 on border for the Gorillas. I don't know, our bot have some like really good fraggers on their team, but it feels like they were just kind of getting sleepy. It was like the last match of the night.
Yeah, there's like fatigue getting to them.
Yeah. Because I don't know, there were some really close rounds in that, but the scoreline definitely started to favor Skills Girls towards the end of the match. They started to run away with.
Clubhouse, the first map.
I was recording some map stats. I didn't get through everything. I got through these playoffs and then weeks 4 and 3. So the first 2 weeks I don't have. But our bat are 3-0 on wait, what are we? Clubhouse?
Do you have them
Okay.
added?
Our bat
Are
are
they
3
just
and
stalling
1,
or
and
what? What's up with
Skills are
these
3
kids?
and 3 on this map. And Coastline, our bat are undefeated, 3-0, where Skills Girls are 4 and 2.
Yeah, I had them added. The invites were just messing up on their end.
All right.
We'll take defense first.
Okay. I need to move over to studio mode. Oh shit. Your studio mode. Okay, overlay. I gotta size this right. So
There's no way on ESL for us to see who banned what, right? In terms of maps.
what do you mean?
Like,
Oh,
can we
who
see
banned
which-
what? No, I don't think so.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Let's see. Trying to think of what I should pick. So it's a white background, so I'd have to go with maybe the black.
What are you doing?
You know how they're supposed to have us put the ESL logo in our streams?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm gonna change that right now. At least on the overlay part.
Make sure it's the new logo, too. You can't
Yeah.
use the old blue color scheme.
Yeah,
I had
that
to get my
I'm
HUD.
aware of.
Yeah. When that happened, I had to ask my HUD guy to make me a new HUD. But it wasn't that bad, because I really like my new HUD.
I think that works. Damn it.
Our bad want to choose defense.
Yeah. They just told me that.
That means the
No.
Superheroes was Gorillas.
I already changed it on for blue to be on defense.
My
Are both teams ready?
Yep.
Yeah, we're here.
Alright, so
Ready when you are.
yeah, I'm just changing the scenes real quick. So you pause this, transition over. I gotta
Thermite.
move this over too. Oh my god, I hate this game. Alright, I'm getting myself carried away here. I'm trying to do some last minute things. Alright, so this is going to be day number 4 of the North American Challenger League Open Qualifier Playoffs. My name is Uzum9ki. Tonight I will be accompanied by Cornpop.
How's it going?
Good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to watch this match because I think this is actually going to be one of the closest games, if not the closest games in this qual.
Yeah, I'm expecting this to be a 2-1 series, but my favor is going to go to the side of Scylla's Gorillas.
I think it's going to depend a lot on this map. This was the Gorillas map pick, and I think they might be a little overconfident on it. Arbad have a pretty good record in the past few weeks. They're 3-1 over the past 3 weeks, whereas SG have a 3-3 record. So I don't know. I think if SG can pull this one out, I think I would agree with you that they can win the series. But who knows? We're already getting live into it, so I won't dwell too much on the predictions.
Yeah. Excuse me. So, our bad has chosen to go on defense first, even though they're on the blue side, which is normally what you would see for the attackers. And Silas Gorillas on the attack. Mech's going a bit versatile with this operator picks. You would normally either see him on an Ash, Air, or a Glaz, but given that Glaz is banned, and he normally plays Blackbird on the on Consulate, he'll go ahead and favor Sledge this time. So he might take on the Ash later on as the map progresses. But it's a bit unusual to see mechs not playing on Ash.
I'm just going to start off here, and I think it's interesting to note these guys did meet each other one time in these qualifiers, in the open qualifiers, at week number 3. SG did take it 7-3. That was on Border, notably in that map we're not going to be seeing tonight. But as we get into this round, that's just something to keep in mind as they're starting to attack onto the top floor. Thermite also getting banned out is going to be pretty important because that's hard destructor, and for this map, having 2 hard destructors can be really important. Maverick, as we're seeing right now, being brought is a big reason that you don't necessarily need Thermite on this map.
That's very true, and also interesting to note that although Thermite's banned, you do have Hibana and Maverick, which is a little bit obvious, but we're seeing not loading able to open up the wall, the CCTV wall, in a pretty interesting way. So I think they're going to probably do a pinch on server as well as master, given that Nugs has only used 1 of the 3 X-Kairos.
Still 5-on-5, getting into the halfway point of this round. I guess that's what you see sometimes on this bomb set. It takes a while for the attackers to get in, especially if they're not all over that first floor and roamers meeting up with the roamers. But you can see already Nugs has created that little hole in the garage. We do have Callie in the basement, so that's one person they do have to watch out for. But again, the attackers aren't really wandering around the basement. They're more focusing, trying to get into the garage, trying to open up that wall, which they clearly have, and making it a very direct site. But again, they're taking a lot of time, so I'm a little bit worried that this clock's going to keep ticking down for them. They're not in the danger zone yet. They don't got to rush it just yet, and with a little bit of damage on a toughie, that's a good start.
All right, action's really popping off as there's 3 frags on the board in favor right now for our bad. Loading getting very lit up. Mex is going to instantly trade it out. It's now a 3v3 in the span of about 10 seconds. Mex going to go ahead and open up the site, moving on in. That'll be Rav located behind the wall on Cash Stairs. Plant isn't not ensuing yet because Nugs is still outside. Rav taking some damage by Mex. Playing a bit of cat and mouse. Mex with the nice wall bang and loading with 1 on before it's now a 1v3 for Carnage, who has rotated down garage. But with that barbed wire, it's going to give away his location as he proceeds up the Cash Stairs.
I don't believe they actually know where he's at. From what I can tell, none of them are looking in the right direction over the staircase that he would be climbing up. That is going to give his position away, though, blowing open that hole. There's a grenade being tossed towards him, but he will run right on past it now. Next on the staircase, trying to take that engagement. He does get down. That's 2 players extremely low on the floors, and the Gorillas will take it. At the last second, not loading wins the gunfight, and Carnegie will fall.
A very good round coming out there from Silas Gorillas, and it was a really close one too, because we saw the engagement come out from Tuffy and Loading. They were both able to trade about 90-ish damage on each other, but at least according to our screen, it looked like Tuffy had his had his crosshair on Loading's head, but you know, it could have just been a spectator bug. But either way, Silas Gorillas win the first round, and we'll be heading into the gym and bedroom this time for our bad.
Kind of interesting that they move over there. Usually you'll see teams go down on the basement after the first round if they don't want to continue on CCTV cache, especially banning a hard breacher. I guess this is one where Thermite is pretty important, but oftentimes when you ban it with hard breacher, it makes the basement hold pretty strong. So it's interesting to note that they're not going to choose to go downstairs or even stick with CCTV cache, which I didn't think was a bad bomb site at all for them.
Yeah, it was a really close round too. He managed to make it into a 1v2. But Loading being able to have the trade right away the moment Mex died was very, very crucial. And it allowed Silas Gorillas to win that map, or to win that round.
I'll tell you one thing, this is going to be pretty unexpected. So obviously they're going to figure it out with their drones. But maybe their lineup might be a little bit suboptimal, not necessarily what they're looking for. They did bring the sledge in case there was any sort of a castle or anything on this bomb site. But who knows, if they wanted to bring a different operator when attacking this bomb site, they were going to get caught off guard by this. And oftentimes if a team is bringing an off-site, that's because they've got some sort of strat plan for it. Maybe they think it's a little bit better than most people do. Who knows how they ended up playing this. I don't see anything exceptionally strange on the defensive lineup. But yeah, doesn't necessarily mean they don't have something planned.
Yeah. Abinai and Nugs rocking that Wind Bastion uniform. It's a lot of people would consider it a toxic uniform because of how just bright it can be outside on some of these maps, and with how tan some walls and areas of the parts of the map can be. It can be really frustrating to fight against either attacker or defender because it works both ways. But Euphoria is going to be hiding inside of logistics, waiting for anyone to come around and peek the hatch. So I think it was Eravonia that opened it up, but he's instead retreated over to the western roof. They'll be loading, trying to open up the jacuzzi wall yet again.
So I like that they're able to adapt by bringing the Maverick and the Hibana. Sometimes you'll see teams just forget the Maverick and just try it with only the Hibana when Thermite gets banned, or if Hibana gets banned, only bringing the Thermite. And definitely a lot better to be able to be flexible. A grenade gets thrown in towards Euphoria. Now he didn't die to it, but he will get the return frag. Max falls on top of the roof, and that's a nice one, taking out the sledge. There's a lot of fragging power gone, and not a ton of utility because again, you didn't get cast or anything, but still nice to be able to get that one player down on the board.
Yeah, Eravonia gonna go ahead and waste away that deployable shield. And with one nade left in his hand and no other grenades, since Mex is dead, he'll have to waste it on that evil eye all the way down the hall. And I don't know if you noticed with not loading there when he was rappelling upside down on jacuzzi wall, part of the left side of that wall is still reinforced, but because he was able to horizontally blowtorch through it, that entire chunk of the wall just completely fell apart and allowed Eravonia to come around and use that skeleton key to open up the wall. But coming into the last 50 seconds here, Rav is going to survive here against Abinai. That bearing 9 not proving fruitful for him. Sees the head. It's going to be Carnage getting taken down here. Diffuser's in the hand of Eravonia. Moving on in. Abinai's going to find a second one onto Rav, and it's now a 3v4. Abinai with a third onto Tuffy.
Okay, a little bit questionable start from him. He missed a couple of shots, but it doesn't matter because he's getting the kills either way. It's a 3-on-2 with the diffuser being planted. Still not out of it for the defense, but it's going to be a struggle to come back, and that's a good start. Cali getting the headshot on Abinai, but traded again. Eravonia takes him down, and it's now going to be a 1-on-1. Euphoria getting that kill, and Nugs all the way outside, placing claymores. They're going to take this nice and slow. Just needs to stop that diffuser from being disabled. Euphoria's got to start moving quick. If he jumps out, this could be really terrible with that claymore being placed there. He's breaking both the windows. You see, Thatcher knows he only has to watch one angle. Brilliantly played by the Skills Gorillas. That claymore, so important.
A very great claymore to come out from Nugs, and surprisingly, that did not result in a trade. Because when the claymores were first introduced, they were able to kill whatever was in front of that triggered the claymore and not behind, so as an attacker you would be safe. But about a couple seasons back they changed that to where the claymore also produces damage behind it. But I think Nugs was probably in a sweet spot and didn't get fragged out. But a very, very nice attempt coming out there from Euphoria. Either way, he would have been fragged out if he lands that shot. So Silos Gorillas will move on up 2-0.
A great early lead for them, and one that I mentioned before. I think it's a really important map that they win. It's their pick. Coastline is one that, in my opinion, really favors our bad. So this is one where if they don't win it, they're going to be feeling bad. And attacking on Clubhouse, too, not an easy feat. You're attacking on a pretty defensive-sided map, and Thermite is banned. Going up 2-0 is actually a really dominant stance to come out early against an opponent who you're predicted to go very, very close with.
Yeah. Abinai just waltzes right on into sight through the gym window, or no, he actually came in through jacuzzi, comes into gym, waltzes on through the rotation hold that Rav had set up, frags Carnage, and then Rav is just completely, getting pinched by both Eravonia and Abinai, and Abinai just swings around, picks him off, finds a third onto, I think it was Tuffy. And then Silos Gorillas are able to win it out, although it did come down to a 1v1, but the Claymore of Nugs came in clutch and allowed Silos Gorillas to win that round.
Gorilla is executing some smart plays, and that's something that I do think they have a little bit of a leg up on our bad. I think if it comes down to just gun plays, our bad have got them a little bit outshined, although again they're really close. But Skills Gorillas consistently, at least in the games that I've seen, have pulled out some really smart plays and don't let fatigue and stuff get the best of them. So I think that's just another example of how they can be a really smart team. We should also mention, I don't know if we said it yet, but the winner of this makes it a Challenger League. So there's a lot on the line in this, and teams can start to get a little bit nervous as we get deeper into this tournament and deeper into these matches.
That's very true. So fortunately, if you do lose, you're not completely out of the bracket just yet. You still have a chance to fight the loser from Toon Squad and Goober Squad, which is happening over on East Central's Twitch channel right now. So whoever manages to win this map automatically makes their way into Challenger League, and then the losers from this match and the other match between both Toon Squad and Goober Squad, they'll have to face each other, and it'll be a very, very tough match for either team. But meanwhile, Nugs is going to start kicking things off, takes down Carnage. That's a really big impact frag to take down the Legion.
You don't want the Legion staying late into the round if you're an attacker, if you can help it. Of course, the longer he stays alive, the more goo mines you can be able to throw, the more annoying your attack is going to be. So him off the board, one of the best operators to take down early. Nothing followed up after that, so it's just been a 5-on-4 since that frag. The attacker is nice and healthy, trying to still get into the bomb sites. And most of the defenders, I mean, just holding their angles. 1 kill. Oh, 2 kills now with Mexican and headshot on Tuffy. This is starting to look real bad. If they lose 1 more, then this is probably going to be an attacker round. Oh, Cali saving it, though.
Cal's in the takedown, not loading, so that's the Maverick dead, but not Diffuser. That'll be Euphoria located inside Garage. Time is running low for the attackers now. Over 2 minutes have passed now. Euphoria is trying to play it safe and stay alive as long as possible. But I think that's, yeah, Aravonia is going to be located down underneath the Garage, and Cali can go in for a very nice flank here, but he'll be waiting for Aravonia to come around, and Aravonia's not even aware of his location. The ADS is going to be able to eat the nade coming out from Aravonia. Abonai's going to find a frag onto Euphoria, so that's the Maestro dead. Coming on in is going to be Cali with a nice shot through the Raptors. Rav with 1. It's now a 2v2. Finds a second for Rav, and it's now fallen apart for Stills Gorillas. Coming around, Rav is going to try to shotgun down Nugs, who's at 1 HP. Cali swinging up on the cash. There's Diffuser's not in hand of Nugs, and he doesn't have time. Rav's going to find himself a 3k there, and our battle finally put themselves on the board. And they'll rise and they'll decrease the deficit to a 1-2.
I mean, obviously, Rav, I think, star of that round for getting a 3k with the shotgun. But I also want to highlight the plays from Cali in that one, because he was so smart to be able to hold on the flank. He was on the first floor, and then he waited for somebody to tell him that there was somebody in Garage. Once the Buck threw the frag grenade up top and it got caught by the ADS, that was his cue to go in. That was when he knew, okay, there's somebody in Garage I can flank. And by that point, Aravonia was already watching for him. He was ready. He thought there may be somebody flanking in on me. But he was crouching, and Aravonia was just not quite looking at the right angles. So Cali came in clutch. And then, of course, the Rav with the shotgun, too. Big plays in that last round.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Yeah, so Rav coming up big there. He found himself 3 pretty impactful frags, with Cali starting off the first one, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Carnage, although he was the first one to die, it ended up going in Arbad's favor. Rav found, I think it was 3 or 2 shotgun frags. I think, no, actually, yeah, Rav got himself a 3k. Yeah, that's right. So looking at the score sheet here, Cali leading the charge for Arbad with 5, as Rav comes up with 3, Carnage and Euphoria with 2. Meanwhile, Tuffy off to a slow start in 0-3. And on the Stills Gorilla side of things, it's a 4-4 for Mex and Abonai, 2 for Nugs and Loading, and 1 for Aravonia. And they've been off to a pretty decent start here. Although it's a defender-sided meta, they've won the first 2 rounds, so I think they're in pretty good shape right now.
Certainly, Aravonia being so low on the scoreboard is pretty surprising to me. In the match where I watched these 2 teams face up against each other, he was one of the top fraggers, if not the top fragger in the match. So him being a little bit asleep, clearly not being that detrimental to his team. Only 3 rounds in, of course. He's got plenty of time to wake up in this match and have a lot of impactful frags. He's playing the Buck right now, so can certainly get some work done in terms of the kill department there. So Euphoria, we've seen him play in this office beforehand, just watching underneath this hatch. Last time Mex lost his head because of it, and you can see he's still the man who's playing up on the other side of that hatch. We'll
Yeah.
see if once again the same fate.
I honestly feel that Mex shouldn't really push this hatch at this moment in time because he's going to get his head popped off by Euphoria, but instead, Mex is going to win the gunfight that time around, so I completely eat my words there. And it's a big impact fact coming out in favor for Mex. Carnage will be protected by the side panel here coming inside of construction, so loading, although has an eye inside, will not be able to find Carnage just yet, but should he rotate, I think loading will be finding himself a very nice frag. Meanwhile, Carnage going to go ahead through, but he'll get escaping safely.
That's twice in a row we saw somebody watching an angle, but somebody just sprints on by free of charge. No punishment at all coming out there. Now Ravis found himself in a very tight angle watching that window. Should not loading choose to jump right on in. He might be able to hear him outside. We're just having some calls from his teammates. Saw him outside as well. Peeking it now, but again, timing that just a little bit off. They're just waiting for a kill to come out from that window.
Yeah, Rav will give us position where and relocate to the side of the bed inside of master bedroom, and we're approaching the 2-minute mark here with the Celos Gorillas slowing their attack down just a bit, but they've gone ahead and opened up the jacuzzi wall. Abinai already located inside of the B bomb site now, making a move on in. Carnage will be waiting. Flashbangs are going to come out from Abinai. And I think that's going to be Mex moving on in, but Tuffy will shut him down. Letting will rotate on through. Abinai finds one onto Carnage. Meanwhile, Eravonia is going to find a second. Tuffy with the second of the game, with a third as Cali finds Nugs, and it's yet again a 1v2, but Tuffy's going to be down here by Abinai. It's all up to Cali on the main stairs. Plant will go down. Cali's going to have to make a move here, but Abinai might have to bait this out. Coming on in. Cali's going to win that gunfight, and our bad are going to win 2 in a row, and things are all tied up at 2-2.
Cali really pulling this back for his teammate, or for the rest of his teammates. They're one of the smartest players in this game, and timing that perfectly, able to win the gunfight. The Habana versus the Valkyrie. Not the greatest 2 guns in the game, but in the end, the Valk comes out on top. And yeah, no, 2 pulling it back. Again, I wouldn't be too worried if your skills Gorillas just because you went up to an early lead, but it's that momentum that you got to start worrying about. And if this gets into SG's head, they might start to slip, and this might be a more defensive-sided half than it was initially going to look like.
Right, and we've already approached past the halfway mark of this first half, and we'll be seeing a first 6 pick coming out from Nugs, and it'll be, instead of the Thatcher, we'll be seeing an IQ come out.
Okay. There was a Pulse also on the board, but it got 6 picked off of, so that might have been some big mind plays coming out from both teams in the end, maybe favoring our bad because they're not going to have that Pulse that can be tracked by the IQ. Of course, now their Valkyrie cams can be found out, so it's still not a bad pickup by Nugs, but we'll see in the end how useful that proves to be. I want to note that this is the first time they've chosen to go down to basement. Basement is a really good site. Some teams prefer it as their main bomb site. But it's weird that our bad would wait so long to go to it, especially since they were having troubles in the first 2 rounds. And they went to the bar or to the gym bedroom twice before choosing to go down here.
You can stop worrying about grenades now.
Yeah, Cali really came up clutch that last round. I think he found 3, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Cali found 3 for himself because he found 2. He was sitting at 5 and now he's at 7. So yeah, so Cali really came up big there, finding 2 and really finding the bait onto Abinai was very, very well played out. And Tuffy was able to finally put himself on the board, finding 3 that last round. So it was Tuffy that found 3 and Cali with 2.
Yeah, Tuffy was a big player for this team. I had no doubt that he was going to wake up eventually. Coming down for this bomb site, it looks like they're saving all 5 players to sit down in the basement. That's usually what you'll see from teams defending on this site. Sometimes you'll have some cheeky plays where people roam up on the top floor as a vigil or something silly like that, but not this time. It looks like our bad are content to play it the way that most people like to play it. And so as soon as SG figured that out, they might have already done a quick drone up top, figure out nobody's playing up there. We're going to focus solely on this basement site. And again, without the thermite, you got to be kind of selective on what you want to open up. If your Maverick's really good and can open up 2 hatches, that's going to be super important for this bomb site. And it looks like he's already opened 1 and he's working on the second one. We'll see if he actually be able to get the kitchen hatch open without the Havana's help.
Yeah, so loading and avoiding a C4 coming out from Tuffy, and the Maverick holes are proving too tough to handle right now for Tuffy. Although loading took a bit of damage, he was able to survive and maybe scave off about 25 HP there.
You could tell he wasn't happy about that. The Maverick not able to fully open hatch, and it's going to be left to the Havana to open it up. Really unfortunate. You can get 2 hatches, but it's really tough. And there's the impact trick coming out.
It actually
Again,
won't find the hatch because the hatch has been opened.
Oh, you're right. Okay, that's huge then. That means the Havana doesn't need to waste another Skyros here and can use it some more.
So Carnage finds one onto Mex, but Aravonia will instantly trade it out onto Cali. Shuts down the top fragger. Abonai instantly shutting down Euphoria. Maestro dead and off the board. And that's your only ACOG. And that puts your team at a severe disadvantage because all your Plantanile is basically gone besides Rav on the smoke. Because Tuffy has already used his C4.
Oh yeah, time's starting to tick down too. It's a 4-on-3, currently favoring the attackers, but being hunkered down with so little time, this actually isn't a bad spot at all for our bad. You can see now Aravonia is starting to press into the church. Shotgun waits for him on the other side. He'll choose to back up instead. Last X Kairos does get popped off, again not being used on that hatch because the first one did get successfully on that. So the Maverick will drop and some kills start to come out. Tuffy will even it out. Carnagab gets another one, putting things back into their favor. Now 2 players remain on Skills Gorillas, just 1. It's going to be the IQ. Last man trying to get this plant in. It's going to be really tough. Does get the first down and the kill as well. Tuffy gets shot in the head, but eventually traded up. It's going to be Carnagab, the man, finishes things for our bad.
Yeah, I think his name is pronounced Carnage, and then the B is just there. If I remember correctly, at least I think it's just Carnage, Carnage B.
Good to know.
Yeah. Either way, our bad wins 3 in a row, and they finally have their first lead, and it's all thanks to Rav, Tuffy, and Carnage coming up big, shutting down the attack as they were trying to push the site, and they walk away with the potential 4-2 coming up after this next round.
Yeah, and that's more what you would expect from a clubhouse. Skills Girls continue to look as they did for those first 2 rounds. You would get really worried for our bad because having a good attacking, dominant attacking side on clubhouse is really, really good. You don't expect to necessarily win 3-3 or 4-2 favoring the defenders would be more like what you'd expect to see on clubhouse. So we're not going to see anything crazy for Skills Girls. But again, if they lose this next round, it's not great 4-2 going into the defender side, but you're still okay with that, and as long as you don't let it get to your head, you can come back from that.
Very well said. So taking another look at the score sheet here, Cali with 7. Still, he wasn't able to find anything that last round, but either way, Carnage coming up big. He has 5 now to his name. Rav and Tuffy with 4, and Euphoria with 2. As for the SG side of things, Abonai leading the charge with 7, Next with 5, Nugs and Aravonia with 3, and not loading with 2. So after a very fast and quick start for SG, things have kind of slowed down. Our bad able to find themselves 3 rounds in a row, and if you're able to find 3 rounds in a row against any team, especially SG, that bodes very well for you coming into this next round because it's your last round being on defense, and you'll also have a lot of momentum moving into your attacks, and you at least save face for a 3-3 attack line going into next round.
Yeah, for sure, and especially 3 on defense. If you get 3 in a row, that means that you've won all the bomb sites you need to win. So you just got to do something that you've already done, you're already comfortable doing. And so, yes, they did lose this bomb site before. They're 1-1 on it right now. But at least they know that it can be done, and they can win whichever bomb sites they end up going to. Of course, it will be upstairs in the CCTV room cache.
Yeah, so all 3 ADSs, I think. No, there's only 2 ADSs in here. Sorry. So 2 ADSs will be here to protect Euphoria above inside of the Raptor. So no matter what, he can't get naded out unless loading and Abonai are to waste their utility above in the garage. Raptor's gonna burn it out. Euphoria taking some shots at Aravonia. Has been up to about 70 HP now.
Yeah, and it's good to keep a Maestro in there. It's one of the most powerful operators to hold in the garage and can hold down for quite a long time with those evil eyes. Trying to challenge on the wall as well. You can see the Habana sitting right outside Albani, playing around these windows that he was able to open up. And of course, those go both ways, so you got to be really careful playing around those, and that's why Euphoria ends up winning the exchange despite it being Albani who opened up the holes.
And Cali gonna find one as well. Mex is gonna trade that out instantly, shutting down the Valkyrie, and Diffuser will be picked up by Mex inside of Logistics. And so far this attack is not working out well, but that frag grenade is gonna come around. It's gonna force Euphoria off, and because Aravonia wasn't able to cook it, he won't find the frag onto Euphoria. Is gonna bounce a second nade here. Tuffy finds one onto Loading. It'll now be a 2v4 for the attackers and both nade operators coming out. Mex will land the frag onto Tuffy, giving away his position. Fired just a tad bit too early with 50 seconds left on the board, and Carnage playing underneath in bar below that construction hatch. This could be very bad. Eravonia taking some shots by Carnage.
They've at least got a few entryways opened up. They got a lot of soft destruction, and the hard destruction was mostly used up. Here's a gunfight coming out. Eravonia be able to run on the left-hand side, but again, this soft destruction will be very useful, opening the angles they need to. Euphoria comes out on top with 2 kills in a row. Our bad take round number 6. It's 4-2 going into that.
A very good defensive hold coming out there from our bad. Despite Tuffy being fragged out, as well as Cali, a lot of plant denials off the board, but you know, Euphoria with that all the 5.56 and just an 81 bullet pre-fire to come around, he can pretty much win any gunfight that comes into his hands.
And so now it'll be Skills Gorilla's turn to defend, and they're choosing to go to the basement first things first. So a very stark contrast in terms of defensive bomb sites for these two teams. Our bad moving away from this as much as possible, bar the bars, and Skills Gorilla is making it their primary site. So we'll see if this works out better or worse for them. Of course, the one time that our bad did play it, they won it. So it's not like Skills Gorillas can do better than a perfect record, but they might be able to match it. And certainly if they can go 2-0 with this bomb site, they'll prove that they are, well, at the very least, a decent team on it.
Yeah, so our bad definitely has a lot of confidence moving into this next round, like I was predicting at the beginning of that last round. And, you know, granted, it's a defender-sided meta, and as long as you're able to win at least 2, I think you're in pretty good shape moving on into the second half of the map. But, you know, your opponent has won 4 rounds in a row, and you've let careless mistakes just happen and slip up, and that doesn't really bode well for any team right now.
Certainly, yeah, it's going to depend a lot on how much that this momentum can affect things. Of course, with the side swap, you're playing different operators, you're doing different things, and so hopefully for Skills Gorillas, that'll be enough to sort of shake that momentum from the enemy and not let it get to their head. But you saw a very early spawn peek that was going out from Skills Gorillas. It doesn't look like anything came from it. A few bullets fired his direction, and he'll back off, back down to the basement. So this looks more standard. You see 5 players chilling in the basement, just waiting for the attackers to come and knock. And Mech's a little bit aggressive, but again, very possible for him to just back off. And yeah, he'll go down blue stairs. He'll be playing around here for a while.
Yeah, Mex is really known for playing those blue stairs very aggressively. But Cali will be situated outside of the window, so should Mex come up on the stairs, he'll be met with a very nasty surprise. And I'm not even sure that he's aware that there's anybody watching that window. Meanwhile, Euphoria is going to go ahead and start joining out upstairs, making sure there's no roamers. But Mex will have to be forced to be playing at the bottom of the stairs here.
1 minute off the clock, and it seems like the majority, if not all of the upstairs clear has been finished off by the attackers. They don't have to spend too long in on this bomb site because you can be pretty sure nobody's going to be playing up there. Again, you always got to be careful because there could be a visual or something sneaking around, but this time there's not. And I'm watching the hat. So yeah, no, it looks like they're pretty sure that they can just start focusing on this basement. So 1 minute 30 to go. They're going to start trying to open this hatch one more time. This one's in the, where are we right now?
In the stock room.
Oh yeah. So this is the first one
yeah, it's the blue hatch.
Right. So that's his first hatch that he's opening as the Maverick. So this one will get opened up for sure. And depending on how much you can save, he might be able to open up a second one.
Yeah, the Goo Mines coming out from not loading will find them on the legs of Carnage and Tuffy. And Rav just trying to be careful and cautious, not get his... Wow, loading's going to win a very big gunfight onto Euphoria, and that's the buck dead. So despite being ready for that plan, it's going to be foiled by not loading with those bullets through the floorboards, and you're going to say goodnight to Euphoria.
Yeah, that was pretty nuts, actually. Did he get the impact trick off as well? Because he threw a grenade upstairs.
I believe so. Worked. Yeah, he got the... No, the hatch is open.
Okay, so not quite successful, but still a great showing by him. Fortunately, the player advantage doesn't last too much longer as his teammate will trade it out. Still 4-on-4 now. And we'll see the attackers start to get in. Cali with a headshot takes down one more frag. That's the bandit going to be falling in the smoke as well. Will fall to Carnage. 4-on-2.
Although it's a 4-on-2, the site the diffusers with Tuffy, and things are running out of time. Cali finds the frag onto not loading. That'll grant them access into Pulse Spot. It's all up to Mex in a 1v4. Plant will start to go down from Tuffy, and Mex will have to win an improbable 1v4. Carnage taking some shots onto Mex, will not land anything. Mex swinging around into blue. Comes on through, shots coming through, but Carnage is not aware. That'll be Cali situated on the other side. Mex finds one, but Rav will instantly trade him out, and our Bad will win 5 in a row against Scylla's Gorillas, and they'll move on up to 5-2.
Alright, now I'm pretty worried for SG. That's not only the 5th round in a row, but that's also going to be their very first round attacking on on Clubhouse, sorry. And that's a big deal because this is, again, as we've mentioned a couple of times, defensive side of map, and the first round after the half swap and at the start of the game usually favors the defenders because they get to go wherever they want. They get to, bring out their fresh strategies. They've got a lot of freedom in what they want to do. And so the fact that Skills Girls couldn't even defend when they had pretty much everything in their favor, that's yikes.
Yeah, they've lost 5 in a row, which is being a big morale blow to their morale. But I was talking to Mex before the game earlier, and unfortunately, I think he has like some kind of stomach virus, so it could be affecting his play. And the reason why, I mean, even with that stomach bug, he's still top fragging, but it's just not proving enough. You don't have loading or fragging out like he normally does. And Nugs and Eravonia, despite them being a bit on support, they're known for fragging out, but it's really not working in their favor.
Certainly not. We'll see how low it is. Round number 8 coming in. A win for our Bad would push them to match point. And, well, they've chosen to go back to CCV Cash, or not back, but come up here for the first time, as the basement was pretty unsuccessful. It ended up being a 1-on-4, I think 1-on-3, and they eventually lost it. So I do like that they're changing things up, but it's worrying that they need to change it up, and even if they win this, they're going to have to go back downstairs at some point, unless they want to go to bars or something. But I'm going to take a wild guess here, and they're not going to go to bars.
Yeah, so Euphoria has a drone on top of the TV there that you can see. Mex is not aware. He spotted out both Abunai. At least I think it was Nugs actually. Was it? I don't remember. But I think it was not loading in Mex, playing inside of bar. But instead they'll go ahead and rotate out of position. Loading will be playing inside of the lobby here. We're also going to go ahead and use some of those X-Kairos. Actually, all 3 on the garage. So this will be a garage take, and should Rav die here, this is going to be very bad. But it looks like Carnage is going to go ahead and start mavericking the wall, trying to see if he can do exactly what loading does and allow the buck to... Carnage is just allowing himself to get injured here, and that's a very bad choice to do. Carnage, what are you doing?
Okay,
that is not how you maverick a wall.
At least he got it soft, so the buck can do what he wanted to do, and he can finally get that open.
No, yeah, barely.
You're right. It was a disaster to die there.
But either way, both hard breachers are now dead. Carnage just very, very awkwardly opening up that wall. But, the wall is still open. Mex above will try to find some shots onto Tuffy playing below in stocks. It'll be lit up to about 20 HP, and Mex will go ahead and dock himself up. And this has only been the first half of the round, too.
Yeah, I was just about to say 3-on-4, and it feels like we've gone through a lot more of this round than we have. Euphoria with a grenade will take down Nugs. That was his last frag grenade, well used. Makes it a 3-on-3, back to an even scoreline. Again, I was going to say this is the first round in a while this looked good for Skills Gorillas. But as we can see, the scorelines even out, and the attackers have a lot of time to play with. A minute on the clock. It's only going to tick downwards, but still a minute is a lot of time where you can do a lot of things. Your hard destructors have died, but they've kind of already done their job, so you're not too worried about that. Especially after you've gotten those 2 return threats.
Euphoria moving on in.
Jump on in.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, Euphoria is going to headshot Cali as soon as he jumps inside the building. Another one comes in favor of Skills Girls, and it's going to be put all on Euphoria. He's going to take a little bit of damage outside, and nicely cleaned up by the girl.
That is a very shocking throw coming out from our Bad. It looked like they had everything under control here. But the frags coming out from Abunai, and I think it was also Eravonia. He found one onto Tuffy on the cache stairs, trying to push up, and it just all fell apart. They all came into Abunai's crosshairs, and it was just a solo push one by one, and Abunai very fortunate to land a very nice shot at the garage window outside onto Euphoria.
Little bit of indecisiveness in choosing the bomb site for Skills Gorillas. They initially were going to Gym Bedroom. They've changed it now. They're going back downstairs to Church Arsenal. They choose to try it again. I hope they know what they're doing because, again, this was their map pick. So they hopefully have some strategies developed for this map. They ideally would want to know which bomb site they want to go for. So we'll see if this one works out for them. If they can identify what went wrong in the first round, then ideally they'll be able to hold this one. Again, this is a pretty defensive-sided bomb site. So I don't disagree with the fact that they're choosing to go here over Gym Bedroom. But if they lose this one, there might be a little bit of conflict inside of their minds on what they should have done.
Yeah, I think a big part of that round loss was due to Carnage. Like, I mean, granted, he was able to get the reinforcement off of the wall, but the way he went about it was... it's a bit of a head scratcher, to say the least. And it's... Like, he just took so much damage. Like, he couldn't find the right position, repelling upside down to get rid of the reinforcement, and just completely threw his own life away. Granted, it was a sacrifice worth getting it open, but it didn't work in their favor. Tuffy taking a ton of damage from Abunai. I think he was peeking over... Yeah, he was peeking at the strip doorway here, inside of the hall by bathroom.
Well, that's a good start. Slightly beneath half. Technically, they can go for a reset, but I don't know that that's worth it. You'll only be getting a few points of HP back, so probably Tuffy's just going to have to tough it out and make his way in, clearing that first floor and making sure that there are no more roamers who are hiding about. And I don't believe there are, as Albany seems to have back on off.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to point out, like I mentioned at the beginning of this matchup, Abunai going out for a happy dance, but either way, like I mentioned, Scylla's Gorillas are known for being a very aggressive and unpredictable team. They like to go for spawn peaks. Traditionally, you'd see it with an ACOG operator, but this time, you know, Abunai working those iron sights pretty well for him, able to land a few shots onto Tuffy, taking him down below half HP. So, should Tuffy need to go for a reset, it could be fruitful for Scylla's Gorillas.
Oh, and that's going to be a firebolt kill from Cali onto Aravonia. So, Smoke going down is another operator that's going to be really big to take him out early, because that's going to be no more late game gas grenades to deny plants and to stall the attackers from getting on in, as well as just another player in favor of the attackers once they start to initiate with this. So 2x Kyra is being used. I don't believe they have lost any to tricking on the kicking hatch yet.
No, I don't think they have. Abunai getting really aggressive. Cali noticing the visor coming out from Abunai, but he'll instead retreat from blue back into church. I don't know if you noticed that, but the moment the hatch opened, Tuffy started going for a pre-fire, expecting someone to be playing that angle. And that's some pretty good coordination to come out from our bad. You can tell that they practiced that a lot. And that's actually going to be Mex upstairs above in the construction site. And I think that's just going to be Euphoria pinching on in. Mex is not going to get spotted out here. But he knows he's getting tracked down. Euphoria coming around for a peek. He's going to get finished off by Mex. Mex drops down and does not find the second onto Tuffy. He'll be pinched by Rav and Tuffy inside of bar and lobby. But time is running out for the attackers. Shots coming out from Nugs, and he'll down Carnage. Take him off. Tuffy on 1 HP, though, not going to find any fruitful choices for a gunfight. But that's going to be a frag for Abunai, fragging off Cali. It's all up to Rav and Tuffy yet again in a 2v3, although Abunai's on 1 HP. Rav is going to win the gunfight against Abunai, and Tuffy lands one into not loading. It's a 1v2. Rav has Diffuser in hand. He'll rotate into Church. Tuffy going to be covering from inside of Moto, taking off the Evil Eye. And that'll be Nugs with no plant now coming around. Diffuser will get planted, and Tuffy rotates into Moto. Rav playing behind Black Box, and what looked to be a very eventful round coming out for SG has turned completely sideways. Shots coming out, finds the one frag onto Rav and Tuffy on 1 HP. Nugs just needs to land a bullet, just a sneeze on Tuffy, and he'll find the frag, but Tuffy is running out of time. Nugs trying to bait the defuse. I think Nugs knows exactly where Tuffy is coming from, with Tuffy ready. He'll find the down and he'll get him, but he has enough time to go for that defuse, and Scylla's Gorillas will win the round, and they'll decrease their deficit to a 5-4. And I hate to say it, but I think we're in for a very, very long night, and this could prove to be a 2-1 map series, and we could possibly see overtime on all 3 maps, and this is just map 1.
Oh boy, brilliant play by Nugs to be able to clutch that out. I thought there was no way where he should be able to get that, especially after the diffuser got planted. I thought his best chance was going to be to stop it from getting planted. They were so low on time. If you can just kill the Habana, you basically won it then and there. But no, he's going to let it happen and still comes out on top. Great play by him, and there were some great calls going on their team, you could tell, because he must have known Tuffy was low. There's no way anybody peeks out with a shotgun pistol into the hallway and starts firing unless you already know that the Ash is so low that you can down him with just one bullet. So wherever the communication was coming out from Skills Gorillas, it was clearly on point. And so great play by both the man who clutched it out and the rest of them for being able to help him out with that coordination.
Yeah, it looked to be a very improbable situation for the attackers, but Rav and Tuffy quickly turned that around. Rav finding 2 frags for himself, and then Tuffy in the midst of that found another one. I think it was onto not loading, if I'm not mistaken. Either it was Nugs, but no, Nugs was playing Maestro. I'm sorry, but either way, I think the communication came out the moment whoever died to Tuffy called out that he's 1 HP. So I think Nugs didn't want to risk having the long ADS time that comes with that Alda. Went ahead and used the Bailiff instead, and just from that range was able to down Tuffy. And the moment he hit him, he knew that he was down and was able to save the day and save the round. And it went in favor of Skills Gorillas. And just one thing I wanted to point out, both Tuffy and Euphoria have lost a drone, so a bit of poor drone economy coming out for them. But that still leaves them with 8 drones to work with here. And hopefully Carnage has learned his lesson about opening up the wall, but it looks like that's not going to be bandit tricked at all, because Abinai is playing downstairs and Barba, he'll decide to retreat back up the site.
This is going to be the probably hardest test for Skills Gorillas since they've swapped sides over to defense. They're going to have to defend on Gym Bedroom, which out of the 3 regular bomb sites we see is the most attacker favored. It's the one that we see the defenders generally struggle the most on. So if there's going to be a time where they can get onto match points, how bad that is, this is probably the best chance they're going to get at it. Should they lose this round, we might even be looking at a 6-5 or a 7-5 in favor of Skills Gorillas. But that's neither here nor there. That'll be in a few rounds, so we can see how that turns out. Aravonia is already getting a little bit of pressure being thrown into the gym. It'll actually be Callie with a Claymore, the first one to get a kill. Max might have been trying something a little bit cheeky. Clearly did not work out in his favor, and that's actually not the first time we've seen a Claymore kill on this bomb site.
That's very true. Max is trying to go for a run out to take off Callie of the Repel, because with Callie over here on Repel, he'll be able to fend off anyone who comes around to peek at the server window. So right here, as you can notice with the Maestro holes right there, Callie's going to go ahead and move on up. He's going to repel on up since half the round's already gone. That's going to be a call from the IGL. I think it's Carnage. I think it's Rav, if I'm not mistaken. Either Rav or Euphoria, I'm not too sure. But a good call for Callie to go ahead and rotate around. And with those Maverick holes, Abonai's going to have a tough time, as well as loading to defend the construction side of the map.
Minute 12 on the clock as they look to be starting to get into the building. Here goes Callie crawling into the bedroom hallway, looking into the gym, firing a few shots from soft wall, but doesn't manage to get any kills. Abonai is very lit up, but still surviving on just over 25 HP. Some gas smokes, or some gas canisters are going to get thrown. They are going to get popped with 2 in the pocket of Aravonia. Trying to fight on that window, but he'll actually lose it lying on the ground and will get down. Callie gets a kill. Abonai as well is going to trade it out, so it's still player advantage in favor of our bad, but Carnage is going to make that just a little bit stronger. Abonai getting headshot. It's going to be a 2-on-4 starting to get into this bomb site. 35 seconds and a 2-on-4. Very, very good for the attackers. They just need to plant this diffuser, which they're currently doing. Nugs doesn't look like he's going to be in a great position to stop it unless... Oh, man, just a little bit too slow. It's going to get planted. Nugs gets the kill, but it's a little bit late. It'll be Callie who falls, and the attackers still with a slight advantage. Just need to hold on for a few more seconds. A great hold at the window, and a final grenade from Euphoria finishes things off. Our bad take round number 10. Put themselves on match point.
One thing I want to point out from that round, very nice nade though, but one thing I want to point out from that round, our bad won that round the moment they figured out that there was a reinforced wall on the gym wall. And when you're defending gym and bedroom, you should never ever place a reinforced wall in between the site on that specific site. You should never place a reinforced wall at any point, because that allows the attackers to have at least some point of cover more than the workout station or planning in a corner will give them. And I was really poorly played out, coming out from X, trying to go for a frag onto Cali. Unfortunately, he chose the wrong dory that had a claymore on it. And if I'm not mistaken, since this is CCTV cache and they saw the Mountain come out, Mex will switch over to the Frost, but Carnage will switch back onto the Maverick. And I don't know if you saw last night against Avenged for SG, but Mex placed the Frostbite on top of the garage stairs, and it prevented Squid from moving on up. And because of that, they were able to win the round and I think move on to overtime.
A lot of interesting strategies getting pulled out there, especially with the 6 pick. Because, yeah, as you mentioned, the Montaigne coming out, the Frost coming out to counter, and then the Montaigne just going away. So it's very possible that our bad were watching that match as well, and they thought, hey, maybe if we tease a Montaigne, they'll switch over to Frost. Generally, Frost isn't that good for the defenders, so if they thought maybe we can bait out the Frost, get Frost in here, and then not even play the Montaigne, we don't even want to play the Monty, that could be a little good for us. So whether that was intentional or not, it works out in the favor of our bad. And again, they just need one more to take this map and again win the opponent's map pick.
So Loading going to go ahead and prep the pool table window, but I think who spawned main gate? Let me see. Yeah, it's going to be Rap that spawned main gate. So either way, Tuffy is going to be joining out strip, making sure it's clear for Cali to repel there. And Tuffy will actually have spawned main gate alongside Rap, so with that big window being punched open, it'll force Tuffy to think about where he wants to position himself.
Yeah, you can tell he's a little bit afraid. He just definitely wants to respect it. Being on match point, you don't want to throw away easy.
Carnage is still shocking himself, unfortunately, and I don't think he understands. Well, he just keeps repelling on this wall, and he can do these, you know, upside down, but I don't think he knows that. Either way, no one's going to be paying attention to the wall just yet, besides Aravonia sitting inside of Cash, and with a buck on the board, they'll be able to get this wall open easily. But yeah, so the metal reinforcements are off the board.
So the buck should be able to open that. Worst case scenario, you've got the Ash who might be able to do it too. Should the buck somehow die, maybe through those Maverick holes. We've seen people die from those before. Tuffy's is currently on the first floor though, working his way. On the other side of the door is not loaded.
Wow. Nugs is actually going to find the down onto Euphoria for taking a ton of damage, and will find the frag onto Tuffy through those Hibana holes that Rav has made. So, you know, as we all know, those holes work both ways, and unfortunately not in the favor of our bad. And Loading's going to find the frag onto Rav. So both attackers outside on the front entrance will be taken down, and this attack is looking to be very bad for our bad.
This is an important one again for the defenders. All these rounds are going to be must win, and this is one of the better bomb sites on this map. A lot of fire areas you can see coming out into garage. That's Cali outside of the door, and it's going to be Carnage who gets the next kill on the board. It's going to be Abenai who falls. That's finally one down for the defenders, but still they hold the player advantage. Got not loading, rotating through the garage, and he's actually going to catch somebody off guard. It's Carnage who will fall, and Cali trades him out with a headshot, but there is still the diffuser down in the garage. Cali's going to have to pick that up before he can keep going with his teammate of Euphoria. It's 3-on-2. The attackers looking better, however, still not in an advantage situation. 25 seconds to go.
Carnage still does not have diffuser, and this is going to look to be a round for SG because 15 seconds left on the board. It takes about 10 seconds to rotate all the way up, and with the Frostbite here, he'll be caught.
Oh no!
He'll be caught in the Frostmat. It's all to Euphoria, and Aravonia is there for the frag. Oh no, that is the worst possible timing. Carnage wasting so much time, not able to react to the Frostmat. And it works out in favor of Scylla's Gorillas. And we move on to the last round of relegation. Although it's in favor of our bad right now, I think that last round will provide some tilt factor into our bad. And this will give the boost that SG needs to go into this next round and force overtime.
You hate to see it. You hate to see it go down like that. Sometimes that's just the way she goes. I'm gonna grab some water.
I'll be right back.
Sounds good. I can cast us through solo while we start up this round number 12, final round before we hit it into overtime. And look at defend on the basement. This is Church Arsenal, and this was again the very first bomb site that that Skills Girls chose to defend on. They did lose it, so it's a little bit worrying, but they came back. They did win it eventually. So coming into Church Arsenal, this is one where hopefully they are pretty prepared for. And yeah, we can take a look at these attacker lineups too. They still obviously brought the Habana and the Maverick so that they can open up as many hatches as possible. It's very rare to see somebody be able to open up 2 hatches. It's so tough. Technically possible, but again, so tough. Carnage, maybe he'll be able to pull it off for us, but we'll have to wait and find out. So the defenders, they got a couple of fragging operators on their side, but unless Max does something sneaky, unless Max does some shenanigans, probably we'll see everybody sitting in the basement again.
10 seconds remaining.
And also there's one thing that I wanted to point out at the beginning of this match before it started, but I wasn't able to, so I'll just go into it right now. Quick shout out to Rav. He's honestly one of the best support players that recently turned 18 not too long ago. He's been in the comp scene for quite a while, and he's honestly one of like the best supportmen that you can ever pick up. He knows how to play Abana and Thermite very well. He takes on the roles that nobody really wants to do, which is hard breach and anchoring down his smoke. And you know, if you go up against Rav, it's really tough to win gunfights against him one-on-one.
Can be tough for those support players to get their recognition too, so I think it's always good to try to highlight those guys when they're doing good work, because it's not always as obvious as when the fraggers start to pop.
Yeah, although Rav's been on support, he manages to find 7 frags for himself, and Carnage is going to be lit up here by Mex in a very, very cheeky play to come out there. Carnage will fall, and one of the 2 hard breach duo will fall, and that'll allow Mex to rotate deep into garage behind the workbench, I should say.
See, Rav wouldn't have died there. He's a good support player.
Yeah, Rav's a bit smarter, I guess you could say, but you know, again, it just comes down to droning it out and knowing that SG knows how to be unpredictable. Either way, Tuffy will shut down Mex, but that's over half the round, or almost half the round wasted, and he's done a very good job of denying this push.
4 on 4 with 1 man down on each side. Carnage and Max, 2 men to fall. Before you're starting to open up some things with the skeleton key, of course, if you can get some angles down into the basement, that'll be pretty huge for maybe to deny some of that impact tricking. And with Carnage going down, that's all the more important to deny those impact tricks because, well, we said with the Thermite you have to be selective on which hatches you open. You gotta be even more selective. Looks like Rav has chosen first to get the stockroom hatch. He's got 2 more to play with, 2 more sets of X-Kairos, so we'll see what he wants to do with them.
Arizona taking a very dangerous gamble here, trying to peek Tuffy, but he'll instead make the smart decision, and because those ADSs are gone, it was able to provide Euphoria with the nade, but he is not able to find anything, and Arizona will retreat back all the way into Armory by Greenbox.
50 seconds remain in this round. Time starting to tick down. This is actually very good forward skills, girls.
Wow.
The longer time takes, the better. A nice headshot from not loading will take down Tuffy. A C4 gets thrown out as well. However, he's not going to explode it just yet. At the same time, Euphoria will find Abenai. So 3 on 3 numbers. Once again, back to an even situation. Very low. Cali eventually falls. That's Nugs who gets the kill onto him. And with Euphoria so low, eventually gets down. It's going to be all up to Rab, the support player. Won't be able to do it. We're going to overtime.
A very great round from not loading there. I don't know if you saw the shot, but that was such a tight angle, or not tight angle, such a tight positioning for loading, and the SMG-11 recoil is nothing to joke about, and being able to control it in that kind of situation against an Ashe player, especially like Tuffy, that takes a lot of skill and practice on the SMG-11. Big props to loading for shutting him down, and just like that, like you and I predicted, we are going into overtime, and I'm not too sure how East Central's doing, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're on a map too right now.
Certainly. I think if I had to predict, I'd say that ours is going to go a little bit longer than his. But I hope that they both go 3 maps all over time because, you know what, I just like watching Siege. Since the coin flip will determine who starts on attack and who starts on defense, you got to favor skilled girls. Seeing how that coin flip ended out, they will be the ones to start on defense. And, of course, we saw both halves go 4-2 in favor of the defense. So, slightly advantage towards them, but I wouldn't say it's a done deal. Certainly, we have seen SG mess up defense before.
Yeah, so I'll bring up the scoreboard yet again. Cali with 14 and Tuffy with 10. Bring up the rear will be Euphoria and Carnage with 8 and Rav with 7. So a bit of an even scoreline coming out between Tuffy through Rav, but Cali has really been popping off. As for the Silos Gorilla side of things, Abenai, Nugs, and Megs will have double-digit frags for themselves as Abenai and Megs with 11, Nugs with 10. loading with 7 and Aravonia with 6. So kind of even a bit, you could say, across the scoreboard in terms of frags. But you know, it was very, very nice to see SG force overtime because what's the game of Siege without overtime?
Oh, certainly. We see Mex again. He's playing the dock, and he's playing pretty aggressively, running around on that first floor. I wonder if he's going to try something sneaky again where he goes for the spawn peak. Currently in the garage going upstairs, so it doesn't look like he's going to get as aggressive as that last round. But, oh, the option's still there for him if he feels like it. He's got a mute jammer still with him that will disrupt Rav's drones as well as many others. And there's a little bit more difficult for the Havana to get into that garage, but
yeah,
so far hasn't had to engage.
Fortunately for Rav, he was not situated in his. He normally plays the corner of the garage here, and I don't know if you noticed it. Ab and I was playing right behind the workbench over here, and right by the drone hole. Tossed out a C4, but he wasn't able to find anyone. Mex finding Carnage, so the Maverick is dead here, and I'm not so sure if he got the wall open. He actually did. Wow, Mex was able to wall bang him, I think, through garage. It's gonna be Cali playing for a very tight angle. Mex sees his legs moving on over on the left side of the garage. Cali's being a bit cautious here. Mex with 2!
Wow.
And that'll be the Capital dead and the top fragger coming out. So this round already so far going in the favor of SG, and it's only been half the round.
Yeah, Max has continuously been able to catch this team off guard. Our bad. They already died to him there. They already should know where he's at, but they're still dying to him because he's just getting even more aggressive. He's so unpredictable, as you were sort of mentioning about Skills Grills a little bit earlier. And you can see he's not done. He's still looking outside, having a good time with things.
Oh my god, Mex.
He's gonna get
no.
a third, Max, at the same doorway. All right, that's where he got the second one too. Finally, Tuffy finds one in response on a not loading. But you still haven't shut down the dock. There we go. Rav, star support player, eventually takes him down with a bullet to the head.
Yeah, still, man count is in favor of Scylla's Gorillas, and Tuffy at about half HP. His position will be given away. Abunai with a very big frag on that shotgun. Slams down Tuffy and sits him down. It's all up to Rav yet again in a 1v3. A ton of utilities coming out for the defense, and Rav is having a very tough time trying to make it in. The moment he walks in, he'll be met with 3 members of SG just watching the wall. Rav does not have any time to make a play, pushes on in, and he'll be met with Abunai with that SMG-11. Like I mentioned before, Abunai is oh so clutch with any kind of machine pistol in his hand, no matter if it's an SAS operator or Dokkaebi. You can always count on Abunai to win a gunfight with the machine pistol.
That was a really tough spot for Rav. A 1-on-3 trying to get into the CCTV cash room is going to be a really difficult bomb site to try to crack, especially here in overtime when stakes are super high. So we'll see. Coming into round number 14, looks like our bat are also going to choose to defend on CCTV cash. Now, Cali is hovering over the Vigil right now. It could be a 6th pick, but I believe this will be the first Vigil we've seen played today.
I believe so too. The Vigil has not been confirmed yet, and like you mentioned right there, Cali's switching over to the Valkyrie, so that'll force, or that'll actually prevent an IQ coming out. But Mex going on a 6th pick here, and he'll bring Finka. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is probably the first time that you and I have seen Finka, at least in an NA match. At least, well, not in the Pro League or Challengers match, but on an NA side of thing in the Qualifier. I think this is the first time we're seeing him being utilized.
Yeah, I can't recall a time. I mean, I've seen Finka and Go Forwards, if we're going to count that, but that's a bit of a different ball game. Yeah, no, Finka coming out is always exciting. Oftentimes it means they're going to take this really aggressively. They can do some sort of a rush strategy. They've also brought the Dokkaebi, so this is just going to be a hellish lineup to try to play against. If you're our bad, you're about to get totally shocked by what's going to be charging into you. And this round will basically depend on how well they can react to all of this chaos that's going to be thrown right at them.
Yeah, so in all honesty, that last round falls on Carnage because 1, he has drones. 2, I mean, granted the site's downstairs, but you wouldn't really expect anyone to play there. But it's your time on the line right now to get into Challenger League. Still, those Gorillas are going to do all that they can to try and shut down anything that comes their way. And you know, Mex making a pretty smart and unpredictable play and took advantage of Carnage not droning him out. And it proved fruitful for SG to force overtime.
So I like that they're not like immediately going for some pop everything rush strategy just because we are attacking on a CCTV cache. And it's important to get that hard destruction down first. It's important to make sure that you're not going to get flanked from somebody down below. They've got their adrenaline surges. They've got their logic bombs. I'm sure at some point they're going to pop everything off. It's really important they don't like lose one of their global operators before they can actually execute, because that would pretty much destroy their attack immediately. But as long as they keep everybody alive, they play it safe for the first, minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes. Once this pop comes out, if it can be like a 5-on-5 or even 5-on-4 favoring the attackers, I would get very scared for the defenders.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, give Abinai Dokkaebi, because he's absolutely monstrous with that SMG-12, and I think SG heard me right, and with shifting over the hard breach onto Nugs is a pretty good call in my opinion. This is a typical lineup that we saw last night against, I forget who it was, but whoever SG played last night, I can't remember who. But either way, this is the exact same 4-operator lineup, loading on Maverick, Nugs on Hibana, Abinai on Dokkaebi, calls coming out, and that's going to be Rav on top. Rav going to be very fortunate to have that ADS from Tuffy on the cache stairs.
Here comes the very first adrenaline surge right after the phone call. It seems like Mex knows that someone's up there. He probably heard the phone call, but worried about somebody on his flank. He's got to watch both angles at once, and that's going to stall him for just a moment. After the adrenaline surge wears off, we see absolutely nothing coming from it. Of course, he's got 2 still in the pocket, and he's got those frag grenades as well. That won't land, but Tuffy will. He gets the first kill of this round, 45 seconds left to go, and it'll be Carnage who gets the second one. 5-on-3. This attack has not been fruitful for them. They've lost both of their global operators, and it's going to be just the hard destructors and the soft destructors to get back into the site and win it before they go to round number 15. They get one. Nugs is going to find it, but eventually does get headshot in by Euphoria. 2v4, 25 seconds, running across the outside. A nice shot from Euphoria, gets the second one in. Rav make sure that our bad don't go home just yet.
So that round goes in favor of our bad, and we are going the full 15 rounds, and this is going to be match point, and whoever wins this, well, I shouldn't say whoever wins this map is going to win the match, but it's really tilting to play for 45 minutes, 50 minutes to an hour just to lose the map.
Yeah, I think I initially said, if I didn't, that I meant to. I initially wanted to say that whoever wins this map is going to be my prediction to win it all, because I think the next map, Coastline, favors OB very, very much. And Villa, I think once we get late into the night, for what I've seen from these teams, I expect Skills Girls to be able to tough it out just a little bit longer. Villa's a map that really could go either way in terms of their record. Neither team really likes to play it. But I feel like Skilled Girls have a little bit more experience on their side. I feel like they're going to have a little bit better opportunity, a better chance to not get fatigued, not get tired, and to not let the mental game get the better of them.
Yeah, I don't know if but is there supposed to be a coin flip for determining who gets the overtime side? Or is it just whoever picks the map and the other team gets defense on overtime, if I'm not mistaken? Or is that how it is when it starts? I'm not too sure.
For this map?
No, well, in general, like when there's an overtime in a map, like I think there's supposed to be a coin flip.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But I think the game does it.
Yeah.
Attacker.
Wow, Abinai going very aggressive and tossing the C4, not finding anyone just yet. And I think because no one, at least a 3-speed, didn't spawn on the shipping dock side, it wasn't able to find anyone. But I think Abinai might have ran out just a bit early and wasted that C4.
Definitely seen people do that before. I haven't seen it in a long time, but and I've also never seen it work. But as long as you're fast enough, I believe it's a zero risk play. Obviously, you lose your C4, and it's very unlikely to work. So it's not the most efficient play. You certainly are giving something up for it, but it doesn't hurt, I suppose. As long as you don't need that a little bit later in the rounds. And when it's round number 15, sometimes you got to try crazy stuff. So I don't dislike that play. We can see Max now not playing as aggressively as he was before, since his teammate went for that play. He's just sitting in the changing room, looking at the drone hole. And if somebody ran past there, that could actually be nice, get a little bit of damage on somebody's toes. But at the moment, he doesn't see anybody, and likely won't for a while.
Yeah, Cali will be outside as well as Carnage of Strip. And they're very close to Mex here. But Carnage is instead going to go ahead and rappel up. And I don't even think that that our bat has joined out strip, because Mex could be providing a very, very scary flank. But Abinai will be droned out upstairs. Moving on in, that'll be Euphoria coming in. But wow, Abinai's going to slam Euphoria and sit him down. That'll be good night, Sweet Prince. And things are starting off very, very fortunate right now for SG.
I think that's exactly what they need to do when it comes down to round 15. You said they like to play unpredictable. They like to play a little bit aggro. That's exactly what they need to do. Play to their strengths. Already that first kill won. Probably not a gunfight he should have won, but as I mentioned, sat him down. And wow, great shot by Carnage. Actually takes down Abinai through the soft wall. So back to even numbers, and playing aggressively doesn't always pay off, as we've seen. 60 seconds to go on this clock, and things are going to start getting pretty hectic real soon.
Carnage already moving on down through pool. Mex will have a very fortunate flank to come in unless Rav will drone him out, but Carnage already moving on in through bar. Mex swinging around. Very fortunate timing as Carnage is going to throw a drone. Mex is going to have to retreat behind the bar, but I don't think Rav knows his exact location. But either way, Rav will shut down Mex and get the frag, and it's now a 3v3, but they're running out of time here with only 30 seconds left to play. Loading will take some damage, and he'll be shut down by Tuffy, and it's instantly traded out by Nugs. 2v2 shots coming out from Nugs. Rav cannot push on through. He moves into Church, but Tuffy inside of blue taking a ton of damage by Nugs, and Aravonia is still inside of Armory. Tuffy trying to provide flank watch here as Aravonia is inside blue. Tuffy swings around. Aravonia finds the frag. It's all up to a 1v2 on match point here for Rav. Can he clutch it out and find the remaining two members of SG who are both on 100 HP?
This is going to be so tough. He just needs to protect the diffuser, though, so he doesn't need to push anything. He just waits for the enemies to come right into him. He's hiding behind the bar. Here's the gunfight, and he's going to actually go down. There's so much time up on that clock, and they'll be able to get the defuse. Skills Gorillas take map number 1. Keep themselves at an advantage as they move into coastline.
Bomb diffuser disabled by defenders.
A very, very good push coming out there from Stella's Gorillas despite the plants coming down. We saw Aravonia and Nugs swiftly push in through the church hallway and in through blue. They were able to do a pinch attack onto Rav and shut him down, and Stella's Gorillas prove to win out the first map, and I think they're going to shut down a lot of people's expectations going into the second match. And if one thing is for certain, it's that Stella's Gorillas are not meant to be slept on.
Certainly not. That was a vital map for them to win. Coming out on top is going to be really important for them. I still don't favor them in the second map. I do think we're going to go all 3 maps here. But no, great for them to be able to pull it out. A little bit concerning that it did take them 15 rounds to get there. Obviously, our bad, they showed a lot of promise getting in there and being able to force it all the way to round number 15. And I think they can still rest easy. They don't need to get too worried about this. I hope that they don't have early morning plans tomorrow, because they're going to need to take it all night if they want to be able to win this and secure their spot in Challenger League season number 9. But certainly it's not over yet. The Gorillas are going to have quite a trail still ahead of them, but obviously 50% of the work is already done.
So let me just go ahead and ask Flynn in chat real quick.
So it looks like the Gorillas have chosen to defend first on this map. Of course, it is going to be our bad's map pick, so Gorillas get to choose which side they want to start on. And starting on the defense on Coastline, this is a map where I think it's relatively even in terms of attackers and defenders, whereas Clubhouse can be very defensive sided, especially when you see somebody like a Thermite band. It's not going to matter quite as much. It's going to be a little bit more preference on what you want to, which side you want to start on. So either way, I mean, it should be pretty equal, because you got 6 rounds on both sides. So theoretically, it shouldn't matter. But well, either way, I believe the players are just going to take a quick break, head to the bathroom, do whatever they need to. But until then, I think we're content just to chill out and wait for them to all get readied up. Speak of the devil.
Yeah, so SG defense first. So let me go ahead and change the overlay as well as the bands. Reset those. Okay. Update. So Stella's Gorillas are up 1-0 right now in terms of how map count goes. And after a very, very, very close round, or matchup, I should say, it went the distance all 15 rounds. But it was just really unfortunate timing that Tuffy lost his life inside of blue in a very clutch pick to come out from Aravonia. Jackal will get banned out here by the Gorillas, and I think that her Gorillas have done VOD review and have studied up and noticed that Euphoria's Jackal play on this map is absolutely dangerous, and are bad going to go ahead and ban Glass. So that's a direct counter to Mex. And I'm not too sure if you've noticed, but throughout the qualifiers and the playoffs, Mex has been absolutely monstrous on Glass, no matter the map. Second ban coming out is going to be Echo, and the fourth ban right away as well. So Valkyrie off the board coming out from Solos Gorillas, not wanting to deal with Cali's Black Eyes coming out. So
Yeah.
a lot of intel off the board already.
I'm really glad you actually brought up the Glass point, because when they first played each other, these two teams in the third week of these qualifiers, our bad made the mistake of not banning out Glass, and as you mentioned, Mex kind of popped off of it as soon as they swapped sides and they were able to attack. There was really no life from our bad. So if you give Glass to Mex, he can do some crazy things with it. He's so consistent. It seems like every single round he plays it, even if he doesn't pop off and get like a 4K in the round, he'll at least get something. He'll at least get a couple of kills, put a lot of pressure on the enemies. So
I was reading chat right now, and someone types, "Rav's never been the same since he fell down the stairs." Shout out to Rathar6.
oh boy.
That's tough. But either way, the first round, well, for the first half, we'll have Solos Gorillas make their move on defense, and the first choice they'll have is going to be the kitchen and service entrance. And I believe, for the past, I think 2-3 seasons lately, we've seen oh my god, Rav, stop. Rav is just absolutely messing me on Steam right now. Either way, at least for the past 2 or 3 seasons, I should say, in terms of comp, we've seen teams on Coastline choose the first floor between kitchen and service entrance and the blue and pink bars, compared to upstairs, because, with more operators that have been coming out and the limited options for your bans, defending Penthouse is not ideal, and Hookah is really bad in my opinion. Well, not really bad, it's just not as ideal. Mech's gonna go ahead and utilize these punch holes, and I think the rotation might have been on the wrong side, but he's gonna go ahead and use these bullet holes. And I don't know if you noticed yesterday, but those bullet holes got himself actually maybe 1 or 2 frags, and it was it was really crazy to see.
Currently still putting up his bulletproof cameras. He's in the middle of a setup. He almost got caught with the drone. Raph might have seen him just trying to trail off. But either way, yeah, as you mentioned, with that ACOG, he can do a lot of work with the punch holes or just playing the long hallways that you can find upstairs. Currently has not found himself in any engagements, but you can see Cali is making his way in that direction. And with the open windows and stuff, he knows that there's probably somebody sneaking around up here, if they haven't already confirmed that with their drones. So Mex versus Cali, we'll see who ends up winning that gunfight, if it ever falls.
Yeah, Mex is going to be the solo roamer right now for SG. He'll be droned out by Rav inside a penthouse. He'll finally be shut down, and I think that's going to be Euphoria on Repel. Oh, yeah, so Rav is going to find one onto Abonai. Meanwhile, Carnage has taken a ton of damage, I think, from loading, sitting on those blue stairs. Mex is going to be finished off by Tuffy. And this roam coming out is going to be very, very poor. And Carnage sitting at 1 HP. I'm not exactly too sure where he got shot from.
I'm not super sure myself.
I think it was loading.
Okay. Well, either way, the roam clear from our bot has been really, really good so far. 2 players down, 2 really aggressive operators taken off of the board. Now they're going to start to work their way in towards site. With the top floor control, you can see Euphoria is going to take full advantage of that, start to open up the floorboards. Put a little bit of pressure onto Nugs and anybody else who's trying to anchor down towards the bomb site. At the moment, hasn't been able to get any kills with it, but you can tell he is watching the angles, and he is going to be continuing to open up those holes until he finds something. A couple of drones still being thrown inside, and at the moment, no attackers have gone down.
Yeah, a bit of a background story on Euphoria. He played in CCS Season 2 under Battle Buddy Tactics. They only lasted 2 matches before forfeiting their spot. I think there's roster changes that happened with them, where they just didn't want to play anymore as a team, and they wouldn't continue. But I remember Euphoria being a super clutch player back on that squad. And Carnage finds one onto loading, so that's very unfortunate. But time is running out for the attackers. Nugs with one and Eravonia with another. A lot of time is coming out. Rav will go ahead and start defusing Eravonia on very low HP. Will finish off Carnage. Finds a second onto Cali, but Rav will go ahead and stick that defuse. And he finds the frag onto Rav, and somehow Scylla's Gorillas are going to win round number 1. And Eravonia will be able to clutch defuse 1v3 and take down all of our bad in the matter of 5 seconds. What just happened, Cornpop?
That was nuts, dude. He got the smoke kill, then he got the next kill, and then he vaults over the deployable shield, shotgun in hand, takes down Rav. Good God, I was just about to say, okay, this first round being dominant from our bad, it makes sense. Their map pick, they're really good on this. But good God, that was some insane frag potential, and this is why you never count out Scylla's Gorillas. They're unpredictable, they do silly stuff, and it works out more often than it should. Great play by Eravonia.
The only thing I can say for that round is Eravonia is absolutely clutch. Either Eravonia or Abnai, give them a machine pistol, and they'll set people down. They'll force them to take a nap. Oh my God! Fortunate for SG that Carnage was on 1 HP. I'm not exactly sure why they didn't reset him, but either way, even though Eravonia was on 1 HP, he manages to win the gunfight against Cali, who at the time was peeking Eravonia, had the peeker's advantage, but just was not able to land a shot onto Eravonia that he needed to. And just the time that came down for Eravonia to hop the shield, Rav not able to get his aim up and put a bullet into Eravonia. That's a very wild round to start things off, and we've had a very wild series. And this is only the first. That was only the first round of map 2. Oh my God.
Yeah, we still have probably 14 more rounds of that. So get ready, because if you didn't already think this was a good matchup, oh my God, yeah, this has been nice. Eravonia, the man of the hour, gonna just be open things up. He doesn't like to get super aggressive right at the start. He leaves that to his teammates, leaves that to guys like Mex, who can start doing the roam and do the spawn peak shenanigans. For now, he's content just to sit back with Albany as well, who's been playing the Mira, notably left unbanned. Not something you see too often, however, on Coastline, it comes around every now and again. Makes those upstairs sites quite a bit stronger than they otherwise would be.
Yeah, second bomb site is going to be played out in hookah and billiards. Cali will be on rappel outside of the balcony. And so it's going to be Nugs sitting inside behind the reinforced wall. So I thought his backpack was sticking out, but it's just the outline. Cali moving on in through aquarium, and there's not a whole lot of presence for him, but I think there is a goo mine on the floor of that doorway. Next going in for a wallbang, trying to find a frag onto Euphoria, who's droning inside of blue bar. No, actually he's inside of office, so
he should be okay.
Yeah, he should be. Next is rotated into lobby, and loading will be situated inside of pink bar. I think that was Rav that opened up the blue bar window, but Mex is gonna find the first shot onto Carnage inside of lobby, and he'll shut down the Thatcher playing inside of luggage.
Carnage has been going down early in a lot of these rounds on the last map and this map as well. I don't want to rag on him too hard, but it does seem like he's maybe needed to step up a little bit in terms of taking a lot of damage. Even last round, we saw him go down very early, and the fact that he was on so little HP might have just been a nail in the coffin for them in that last one. But what's done is done. He's got 4 teammates who can still pull it back for them. They are attacking on Coastline, so this is not the end of the world. Time ticking down, of course, does not favor them. 50 seconds to go in this round. They need to get in, get some kills, get the diffuser planted. Euphoria playing from down below. Could try to make some holes up there. There's going to be a lot of Hibana pellets playing on this window, and Albany, well, he's got a lot to try to worry about in terms of that. Looks like those will get denied. Or sorry, he ended up opening up the window. A couple of kills coming out now, and these attackers have just continued to fall. Only going to be 2 left. That's Rav and Tuffy who are starting to make their way around the hallways. Albany takes down Rav and Tuffy in a 1-on-5. The ace clutch Is that going to be what we see today?
Yeah, second round going to go in favor of Scylla's Gorillas. And Abonai, I don't know if you noticed it, but he had a mirror in his pocket and waited until like the last 50 seconds, I think, to plant that mirror. But either way, it was instantly shut down by Rav's X Kairos, and it didn't really matter. SG was able to claw their way through and win the second round.
It's been a very good defense so far from the Scylla's Gorillas. I gotta imagine that some of their momentum they're pulling away from the other map. Because again, this is one where I didn't necessarily expect them to do so well. Now, they've also got a pretty good record. Looking at the past, I believe this is 3 weeks this goes back. They are 4-2 on this map. So not too bad. Of course, our bad, I would say, is this is their best map. They're undefeated on it. And they do try to play it as much as possible. So, you know, neither of these teams scrubs playing in the coastline. But certainly, so far, it's been very impressive from the SG. However, we'll see if this turns into the same situation as Clubhouse, where they start to slip away after taking the first 2 rounds.
I think that our bat is maybe playing a bit tilted and just aggressive, just wide peeking stuff they don't necessarily need to. Either that, or it's just Mex and Abonai just coming around, swinging, abusing that peeker's advantage, and being able to win it. But I remember casting SG one time, I think it was their first map in the qualifier. Abonai was filling in for Mex at the time. I think he was a tryout player, and they switched a bit of roles, and Abonai on support. He dropped, I think, 9 on defense, and Mira was available, and it was just an absolute beauty to see Abonai just completely tear up the other team. I don't remember who they played against.
Either way, it's good to be able to see him come back and play it again. Done well for his team so far. We'll see how this third bomb site goes for them. They are going to be on the bars, which is where you'd expect them to go. Penthouse Theater has really fallen off in terms of pick rate. Most teams agree it's probably the worst bomb site on this map. Whereas, as you sort of alluded to, back in the day, before operated bans came in, it was very, very good. But nowadays, it doesn't see much play, and there's a lot of silhouettes we see on Mech's screen. Of course, he can't see those, but Euphoria might be able to walk into a death trap from behind. He takes a couple of damage of bullets, but Mex isn't able to finish off the job and run downstairs.
Yeah, Mex unfortunately does not land the shots that he needs to. I think that's going to be Tuffy. No, actually Cali downstairs inside of the CCTV connector, trying to see if he can pinch off Mex, but Mex is ready and not making a push. A very smart play to come out. Cali already making a move into Hookah with Tuffy covering the cool vibe stairs. We're already down to half the round.
Loading might be able to come face to face with him, but he'll choose to back off instead, try to play around these holes that have been opened up by the buck. And Tuffy continues just to watch this. Euphoria firing a couple of bullets down towards him, and well, a lot of almost action. Finally, Cali gets something on the board, and that's going to be the Maestro going down. Nugs will fall, and another one will shortly come from it. Cali on a 2K right now, but took a lot of damage in order to get that. So he's going to move over to the drone duty and let his teams try to get a couple of these frags. At least they've gotten a bit of bar control, though, and this is going to be a good opportunity for them to come in and get this plant. All smoke being thrown away, and losing your buck as well is not going to help you with this plant.
Tuffy will find the frag onto Aravonia. It's now a 4v2, but 2 attackers are very lit up, and Rav has diffuser. Meanwhile, Tuffy will shut down Mex. Shots coming out, and that'll be a very nice 3K to come out for Cali. Is not loading falls, and Arbat are finally able to situate themselves, and Cali really popping off in that last round.
Yeah, definitely. We should check the scoreboard. I mean, how many kills did he get? He got 3 in that one, right?
Yeah, you got a 3K.
All right, and if depending on how he did in the last couple of rounds, that might be the key. If all you need is Cali to pop off, and if he hasn't done anything the last couple of rounds, that might be just enough to get them back into the swing of things, and our bad can start to roll some more rounds on the board. But it is interesting to know that that was the 3rd bomb site, and the fact that that was the first one they were able to win means that SG still have 2 good bomb sites that our bad haven't been able to crack. And so unless they want to go 4-2 in a halftime, which isn't terrible when you're on tack, but you like something a little bit better than that. Unless you want that 4-2 scoreline, you're going to need to crack one of these bomb sites that you've already failed at attacking before.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs.
So finally, SG will be shut down, and I'm not too sure if that's a site that they practice a lot, but it looked to be our bad finally got their heads screwed on, got things taken care of, shut down the roam
Attackers have
game,
located a bomb.
and prevented any big casualties from happening, and they were able to just take control of site. Cali coming up big, wide swinging onto the defense, and found himself 3.
We're gonna bring the Mira out once again, and there's been carnage coming onto the Twitch in order to try to counter that. This is the first time we've seen Twitch. Twitch, obviously, your pick rate has fallen quite a bit since pick bans have been introduced, and Mira rarely gets played, but a great operator to try to counter the Mira windows. But as you mentioned, Abony tends to wait a long time before putting those windows down, so might not be as easy for Carnage to get these. Okay, let's go right as they're at to start this time.
This is pretty interesting. They're going to be playing a bit of a close roam on the couches side over by main white stairs. And we don't really see a whole lot of teams go for that kind of rotation. We normally see them reinforce both the theater walls and just wait for the attackers to come in and push through the hall.
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky, and I like that SG are able to pull out a couple of these strategies and might give our bad a little bit of run for their money. Of course, this is a map that both teams play quite a bit, so there would be a lot of VODs to review. There's a lot of footage, so that might be something that our bad have already picked up on. They would be expecting, but either way, whether expecting or not, it's going to be something they're going to have to deal with. 5-on-5 as we're a minute into this round. Not a lot going on.
So Mex will be droned out at the entrance of 90. Tuffy going around for a peek. He'll actually be able to stun Mex, and that'll cover his footsteps moving on up. Tuffy coming up. Mex comes big with the frag onto Cali. Mex will be lit up here by Tuffy. Can he find the second? He will not, and Tuffy shuts him down, but immediately gets traded out by Abonai through the wall with a nice shotgun hole, allowing him to have an access to a line of sight there. And loading, playing at the middle of these white stairs. Euphoria already making his move in. Nate comes out. He'll actually down Abonai. That'll be Carnage coming around with the Twitch drone and finishing him off. Loading coming up big there with the frag onto Carnage after hopping out. It's now a 3v3, but Euphoria gonna retreat away from the site. Rav has Diffuser, and it's a 2v3, but that's not even the bomb site. The bomb site's in kitchen.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they did commit a lot of resources to that top floor, and it is very vital to have that top floor control, but oh man, losing another attacker, it looks like it might just be a little bit too little too late for our bad. They wasted so much trying to attack on that top floor. It's just going to be Rav left alive, and this time it'll be him in the 1-on-3. He'll need to clutch, and well, I don't know if he's going to be able to do it in the same way.
Oh my, Rav
comes in.
Oh, bother. Rav just sneaks right into sight, finds the knives, but instantly gets traded out by Eravonia. And SG had me fooled for over half the round. I actually thought the site was upstairs inside of Penthouse and Theater. I don't... That's bad on me, and we have the spectator cam too.
You'd think we'd notice with the outlines, but sometimes that happens. This time it's hookah billiards. Let's keep that in mind for round number 5. 3-1 is the score line, so I believe this is going to be the only one that is available to them other than Penthouse Theater. And as I already mentioned, they don't tend to like to go over there. So back up to the top floor, and Abonai choosing to go back over the mirror. I'm sure that's not a surprise at all. However, Carnagab still chooses to swap regardless. Or Carnage, sorry.
Yeah. What did he switch from? I wasn't looking.
Twitch.
Twitch. He switched from Twitch over to Thatcher. That's a bit okay. I guess he wasn't able to utilize his Twitch drones. So.
Yeah, the Albany did swap like 6-pick over to the Mira, so it's possible they thought there wasn't going to be a Mira, but I feel like that was a pretty predictable 6-pick from. Been liking the Mira quite a bit so far in this matchup, and it's been pretty effective for him. Generally, if Mira's line, you want to run her quite a bit. It's team preference, but she's very effective on this map.
Yeah, taking a look at the scoreline here, Tuffy's leading the charge right now for our bad with 5 to his name. 3 coming out for Rav and Cali, and Carnage with 2. And Mex going for a very aggressive peek already at the pole side. And that cuts me off because I'm so surprised. But either way, on SG's side of things, Eravonia with 6 after finding 3 on the very first round. And he's only died once, which is that only round that they've lost. So I guess you could say so far the moment Eravonia dies, it seems to be all over.
That seems to be the trend. We'll see if it continues going like that. As you mentioned, notably not here on Penthouse Theater. This is not the bomb site. It's back the fact that
yeah, it's over in Hookah. So this is a bit of a very interesting angle coming out from Abonai, as we saw him break open the wall and the hatch, looking down into kitchen. I guess that'll allow Mex also to look up through the hatch. But either way, Loading will be taking some shots, trying to find a drone. He'll be roaming closely inside a pink bar.
He's got a lot of he's got a lot of silhouettes around him though, and he needs to be a bit careful as his time starts to tick down. He could consider backing off to the bomb site. Still a minute 50, so he doesn't need to be too worried, but you can tell Euphoria is hunting for somebody who might still be lurking on this first floor. Not loading. Wow, this is a aggressive spot for him to be playing in. Nobody's going to challenge it just yet. He'll actually break open the whole thing, run on out. Calling will take him down, but it's a trade, so very least a 1-for-1. You take down the Ash for the mute. Somewhat inconsequential in terms of utility that has just gone down, but makes it a 4-on-4 no matter what happened. Apparently it's a nice shot from Callie.
A very good trade to come out there. Callie with nice reflexes to react, but unfortunately it results in his death as well. And with a minute left to play, it's a 4v4. Euphoria still hasn't really found much to do underneath. He still has only 17 shots in his skeleton key. Rav going for plants. With that Toxic Babe coming out from Aravonia, it'll be the first one. It'll force Rav to get off of plants. Abonai holding on to this pocket mirror yet again. We'll see if they can trade it out, but Rav still has 3 X-Kairos left to his name. Rav will go for a plant a second time. This Toxic Babe's going to come out from Aravonia through the wall. That'll force Rav again off the spot. Abonai has been downed by Carnage, and Mex will take off the frag from Tuffy with the C4. And I think that's Euphoria playing inside a blue bar. But Mex is going to find one immediately. Euphoria tries to find his first frag in the match. Finds one onto Mex. Rav still has to plant this diffuser, and Euphoria underneath can't really provide much support except for vertical gameplay. Rav's going to toss his last flashbang. And this Toxic Babe coming out from Abonai yet again. And just like that, SG is going to shut down Arvad in 3 rounds on an attacker-sided map nonetheless.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, this has been a great defense from Skills Gorillas. They find themselves up 4-1 coming into round number 6. So they won both of their primary bomb sites 2 times. And yeah, that's pretty insane, especially on defense. So excellent job to them. The worst they can have is a 4-2 scoreline, and if history repeats itself, if the first 3 rounds just get repeated in these in the next 3, then they will lose this one. But of course, we can't call that just yet. They'll move to the bars. They lost this the first time. We'll see how they can adapt to try to make it a 5-1 half. And let me just say that for the map pick of Our Bad, and for already being down 1 map in the series, this is not how they wanted this to start.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they didn't want to go down 4-1, especially on how attacker-sided Coastline is known for. And you know, like it's really rare. I mean, granted, it's a defensive meta, but it's Coastline. It's the best attacker-sided map, and you're losing 4 out of 5 attack rounds so far.
Yeah, obviously, statistically, like by the numbers, this isn't a must-win for Our Bad, but it feels like a must-win because 5-1 going into the second half. Like 4-2 is not good, as you mentioned, but I think that's recoverable if you can play a really strong defense, similar to what Skills Girls have. But if you're not convince me that you went down 5-1 attacking on Coastline and you're gonna try to win on defense after that, I don't know, man. That's rough.
Yeah. Quick score update. Toon Squad won 2-0 against Goober Squad. Yeah, they won 2-0 against Goober Squad. So Goober Squad will be facing their final match, you could potentially say, against Our Bad at this point, because SG is looking to wheel and run things away at a 2-0 victory here. I mean, granted, it's their last defense round, and it's they've been playing defense very well, but you know, things happen. Siege is not over until it's over, and we could see something happen for Our Bad.
Rest of Toon Squad for making it into Challenger League. One of these 2 teams will also be making it there, and of course, one of them much closer than the others. Skills Gorillas looking to try to clean it out. 3 more rounds is all they'll need. Round number 6, their final defensive round, 5-on-5, and a minute has ticked away. Carnage playing on the rooftop. Kind of throwing some screw tops, some EMP grenades to disrupt some stuff. He'll just decide to vault on in, and it's going to be Callie who actually gets the very first kill onto Abony. Nice job by him to be able to take down the Mira. Probably the utility already put up, but with Abony, the way he's been playing it, it's not necessarily true. Mex with a nice poke hole actually is going to get flashed, so he might not find this kill. It looks like it's being presented to him. It looks like Tuffy's on the immediately on the other side. He will spray through the wall, but because he was blinded, he couldn't quite get the kill. Will be not loaded. He finally takes down Tuffy with calls from his blinded teammate. Puts us to a 4-on-4 minute 35.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Mex being fragged out because of that prone hole, or that bullet hole. Loading has been downed. Mex will have to take on the gunfight onto Euphoria to try to save his teammate, but utilizing these bullet holes, he sees Euphoria, finds the frag through the hole! That is very cheeky, and it works in favor very much so for Mex, and because Carnage has retreated away, Mex is probably going to hop on over, but he'll watch the cross. Mex aware of Carnage trying to come around. Carnage finds one onto Loading, but he'll instantly get traded out by Eravonia, and yet again, Rav left in another 1v3. Eravonia has been downed. Rav is going to try and find something for himself. Here's the revive happening. Shots coming out. Nugs is ready for Rav to come around. Rav retreats down, and he has control of the pink bar. Mex is retreated down. Rav going for a bait behind the bar, and that'll be a very easy frag for Mex. And just like that, Silla's Gorillas are 2 rounds away from making Challenger League, and with a huge upset against Arbad.
This is not how I expected this map to go. I mean, I was looking at the numbers, the way all the stats say that Arbad should be taking this map. And I don't know, they just haven't looked like they're here. I think that the fact that the last map went to 15 and they lost it in round number 15, they lost it in overtime, the final round, that can be really draining on a team's mental state. Obviously, you know, with unlimited overtime, as we saw in the Invitational Grand Finals, that's even more draining. But even at this level, you know, 3 rounds of overtime, losing it after such a long and close matchup, that really can get you down. And going down 5-1 after this first half, that's not going to make your mental state any better.
Yeah. It's going to be a change of sides now as Arbad will transition on over to defense, and Silla's Gorillas move over to attack. And taking a look at the scoreline for Arbad, Rav with 3, Tuffy with 5, as well as Callie, Carnage with 3, and Euphoria with 1. Silla's Gorillas have done a very good job of shutting down Euphoria, who was a very strong performer in that last map on Clubhouse. But on the SG side of things, Mex and Eravonia with 7, Nugs with 5, Abunai with 4, and Loading with 3. And Mex even has 5 assists to his name, so that should technically be about, what, 13 frags? Should he have landed the headshots?
Well, yeah. No, that's pretty insane. For even 6 rounds, like if he had hit all of those, that would be an average of 2 kills per round. That's really good and really consistent too. So I can see why SG are up 5-1.
Yeah, it's a real shame to see that how close the last map was compared to how it is right now on Coastline. And you know, one thing that could be affecting Arbad is just the mental fatigue that happens with that last round. You know, they tried so hard to come and win that first map, and the tilting is probably also getting to them too, just because of how aggressive and really unpredictable Mex has been playing so far, as well as Abunai. It's really thrown them off and thrown them for a loop, but Arbad just cannot seem to get anything going.
I will say one thing though, with the half swap, it can be a bit of a stop to any momentum that one side or the other has been given. And now they're coming out here 5-1. It's going to be really tough, but they can pull it back from this should they be able to keep themselves in the right mental state. Another thing, since they're on defense, they can go to whichever bomb set they want. They should have stratted for this. Keep your head cool and play what you know, play the strategies that you surely have prepared for your map pick. I mean, this is probably the best opportunity they've had to shut the momentum down and to swing things back into their favor. But if they can't get this one, then yeah, it's going to be real tough. Eravonia now finding a head, but isn't able to click on it. It's going to be a Carnage on the other side of things. He will get flashed, but it's through the doorway that he takes down Eravonia. A great first kill for him, but immediately traded out by Nugs. Make sure that Skulls Gorillas do not stay in the player disadvantage for long. Next, as you mentioned, a very fast player, likes to play unpredictable, slowed a little bit down by that castle barricade, but eventually has some health and able to take it down with a few more melee hits. Still gonna be 4-on-4. You saw phone calls coming out, but those will get silenced, and doesn't look like anything really coming at because of it. A minute 10 to go, and the attackers are ready to hold on and try to make themselves on match point.
Wow, Mex is going to shut down Cali. He's not going to be able to shut down Rav. Going for a very aggressive peek. Able to take him down. It's the 3v3 now. Loading going to work very much underneath the pink bar. Trying to force Rav out of position. Abinai taking some shots at Euphoria. We lit up to half HP now. Nugs rotating on in through VIP. Will be able to cross and shut down Rav. Should Rav come around and peek. Rav just being very passive here, hiding inside the northeast corner. You can use the smoke, one of his first toxic babes to be able to deny plants. 30 seconds left to go. Loading still underneath inside of blue bar. And another toxic babe is going to be coming out from Rav. It does not find the frag onto Abinai, but he'll be shut down by Tuffy either way. A lot of frags are just coming out here as Abinai downs Loading. I'm sorry, he downs Rav, hopping on throw U4, and he loses the gunfight! And it's all up to Tuffy inside of VIP. Tuffy shuts down Abinai, and that's Diffuser in the hall. But Tuffy will be there to shut down our bad, and Scylla's Gorillas finally are stopped, and the bleeding has somewhat slowed. And Tuffy coming up big.
That's so big for the mental factor. We've been talking about it a lot, but I mean, being able to clutch that round out, that was certainly going to be the death of our bad should they have lost that final 1v1. But they're still alive. They're still in this. 5-on-2 is now the score line. They're going to move on to kitchen service entrance. Now, looking at the numbers, you got to be a little bit worried that that was their best bomb site, and it did come down to a 1v1. When you're playing on your primary bomb site, that's when you want your defensive holds to be the strongest. That's when you want things to not have to come down to a 1v1. But if you look at the very first round of this map, I mean, that's exactly how Skill's Gorillas started things off on their defensive side, and that went 5-1 for them. So in terms of the numbers, I think you can throw it all out the window. Our bad, they've got this momentum now.
Bomb located by attackers.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be that, you know, despite this map being attacker-sided and how heavily it's dependent on, like, defense for information. Well, at least with attackers needing to gain information and the defense already having all those gadgets set up. You know, you have the Evil Eye coming out. You can have bulletproof cams, but we don't really see all that coming out from our bad. The only bulletproof cams really are just from the Evil Eye set up by Euphoria. And normally Euphoria doesn't lose those gunfights, but somehow Abinai just is the master with that SMG-12. Shuts down Rav and Euphoria, but he just was not able to find the frag he needed to onto Tuffy. And then it was Aravonia swinging around in I think it was what, billiards? Yeah, the billiards bar, and Tuffy just having the right crosshair placement takes him down and eliminates him from play.
So round number 8, we move in, almost 30 seconds to go, and Mex already finding a couple of players, but a little bit slow with that trigger finger. Isn't going to be rewarded because of his angles through the soft wall. He sees the castle with so much damage, but not enough. Cali barely surviving with the skin of his teeth. If he can get reset, that would probably be the best situation for him, but regardless, he's not going to be able to play upstairs anymore. He's going to relegate that to Carnage, who is still lurking around, and if Mex isn't careful, he might run into that. But at the moment, it looks like he's content just to play on the window, let his team drone for that. Carnage needs to be able to get something here and not die if he doesn't want his team to go down to enemy match point.
Cali has rotated all the way into Hookah and left Carnage solo all by himself inside of theater. Shots coming out from not loading almost onto the head of Carnage, but that's going to be Mex taking him down. Cali with the trade onto Loading. So despite the health loss, he's able to surprise Loading and evens things out at a 4v4.
It's really risky when you're on solo to stay upstairs, stay on that roam, farther from your opponent, farther from your partner, sorry. Especially after your partner goes down, it's crucial that you do not follow him to the grave. It means that we're still on a 4-on-4. Now he will be reset by his teammates. What I was initially suggesting that he try to accomplish. We back up to 50 HP now. As we approach the 1 minute mark left in this round, again, still very crucial for our bad to win this one. Dokkaebi has hacked those cameras, which means that's going to be even more information available to the attackers as they start to get in. Mex is about to find somebody at the end of the hallway. It's Cali, his old nemesis, which already dealt a lot of this damage. He needs to try to finish it off right now.
Wow.
Forward. A great job by Mex to be able to get that kill.
Wow, Rav is gonna come up big and shut down Mex and evens things out 3v3. And Mex, you know, really should have won that gunfight. Tuffy has relocated inside of Pink Bar, Euphoria taking some damage onto Rivonia above the floorboards. Abonai moving on in. Rav has been shut down by Nugs. 2v3 for the defenders. Erivonia's going to take down Euphoria, and it's all to Tuffy inside of Pink Bar. Will have to rotate into Kitchen. Spots the head of Tuffy. I'm sorry, spots the head of Erivonia, but Tuffy will not win the gunfight, and we move on to match point, series point, Challenger League point for Silas Gorillas. And if you're our bad, you need to get your heads on straight and play like it's the last time you'll ever play for the next 4 rounds. and try to force overtime. Otherwise, you're looking to face Scuba Squad in the next matchup tomorrow.
And if I'm being honest, I don't really favor our bat against Goober Squad. I mean, we'll see. Goober Squad have been a very inconsistent team. You've seen them sometimes in the open qualifiers just have terrible records. Maybe not terrible, but like less than what they should be achieving. But sometimes you see them just absolutely pop off and look like they're the best team in North America Challenger League. So that's kind of a toss-up. Our bad, though, they don't need to be focusing on that. They don't need to think about Goober Squad right now. As you mentioned, this is do or die for 4 rounds. They got to get them all in a row, and it's tough. It's really, really tough. They needed that last round because that would have kept the momentum back in their favor. They managed to get the first one. That's great, but that wasn't even your 3rd bomb site. I mean, that was your 2nd bomb site that you just lost. So now you're going to have to try to play the game with someone else. I didn't exactly see where they were headed. It looks like they're going over here to the bars, so... As you mentioned, 4 rounds in a row, all they need. Skills Gorillas gonna start to get a little bit excited, maybe.
That's true. And against Avenge last night, we saw Skills Gorillas. I think they were up at 6-3, if I'm not mistaken. And it was on Clubhouse last night, and they just threw round after round after round. There was a point in time where there was 2 minutes left to play. Skills Gorillas had a 5v2 advantage. It was all up to Dynasty and Lojax, and Dynasty and Lojax just somehow managed to, like, in all honesty, big props to Avenged, but it was a really poor round played out from from Avenged. Cali taking some damage here, but, you know, it was just really sloppy play coming out from SG. They pushed everybody one by one, gave the free frags and the gunfights to the angle-holding defenders, and it was just a sloppy play from SG, but Mech's already rotating through. Can he find Tuffy? No, it's actually Carnage. He's rotated safely into Billiards at the nick of time.
And these defenders, they need to be careful. You got to imagine they're not going to be doing anything super risky. They don't want to be the one who just throws this away for their team, but already some gunfights coming out. No deaths, not even any damage really coming out just yet, aside from the initial damage on Cali, which he's been able to do a little bit. Flash having a rough time, and he'll be the first one to die. Mex gets the kill on him, and also another player downed. It's going to be Mex with the 2K. Ash doing a lot of work, but immediately 2 are going to be retraded, and Tuffy with the 3rd makes it for his team, puts him back into a numbers advantage. He's trying to get another kill back in his favor, but he loses the gunfight. No, he does not. He takes down Abney. It's a 3-on-1. They still want to fight. They still feel like they can win this. It's going to be put all up to the IQ to be able to win it for their team. Eravonia in a 1-on-3.
Erivonia on 1 HP with the Legion and Smoke still on the board, and how hot Tuffy has been this round with 3 out of 4 frags so far. This is tough. I mean, granted, he can spot the goo mines with the scanner, but I don't think he's going to be approaching any kind of situation with that scanner up. And he doesn't even have Diffuser. Diffuser is located right outside of the blue bar window because Hibana was on the rappel.
This is tough. The one thing he has is he has a fair amount of time. I mean, it's not like he can sit around and sip mojitos forever, but he doesn't need to rush things too hard here. But yeah, 1-on-3, the operators he's up against, the first gas canister will get thrown his direction and he'll have to move off somewhere else.
Raph getting super aggro here, but Erivonia will drop into courtyard, and I think Tuffy knows he's there. But there's a rotation to move on in. Rav inside of... right out on the other side of Tuffy, so that'll be a goo mine into the leg of Erivonia. Euphoria inside of blue bar, tossing another one to prevent Erivonia coming through. Rav will win that gunfight, and Arbat are not done yet as they decrease their deficit 3-6, and they just need 3 more rounds to force overtime. And they need to win 5 more at least to make a map 3.
They just need 3 more, which is easier said than done, especially on a map like Coastline, which as you said is pretty attacker sided. And Skills Gorillas, they did lose 1, but they're gonna have 3 more opportunities to close things out and send themselves to Challenger League. So Our bads, use this momentum. All right, get yourself hyped up. Think positively. But it's a long road ahead of you. You're going to choose to defend on Hookah Billiards, with this being round number, was it 9? Yeah, should be.
This will be round number 10.
Sorry. Yes, they're going to be able to come back here and, well, hopefully have a good performance on it.
Yeah, so Toon Squad, we were like barely going into the second half of this map, and it was reported that Toon Squad had won 2. Oh no, we were actually still in the first half of this map, and Toon Squad reported 2-0. So like that is a very swift victory and a very fast one at that to come out for Toon Squad. So once again, congratulations Toon Squad. Factor, good job on making Challenger League for your first time. And I really hope to see big things coming out from you, brother. It's been a long time coming. He's been grinding for this for like what, about 6 months now, I think. He joined the Nomads back in October, if I'm not mistaken, and just the grind that came through with Rainbow, the teamwork that they have. I'm really proud to see that they've made Challenger League despite being in the lower bracket.
Yeah, Toon Squad, one of the best teams we saw in these open qualifiers. Obviously didn't make it through the top undefeated in this bracket, but very well deserved, and it would not be a proper Challenger League if they weren't included, in my opinion. So glad they've made it in. Obviously, still one more team to join them tonight. Skill Gorillas.
A bomb has been located.
2 minutes and 40 seconds to make it happen this round, and then 2 more rounds after that should they fail to do so. They brought their attacking lineup, and they need to get upstairs into Hookah Billiards, get some kills on the board.
Yeah, shutting up the scoreline here. Tuffy with 11. Rav with 7, and Cali with 6. Carnage with 4, and Euphoria with 1. Still having a bit of a tough map this time. And Mex has 12 to his name. Eravoni with 9. And so far, SG have been really, really tough to fight against on Coastline. But that last round, you really hope that it doesn't bite them in the butt. And you really hope that, at least not if you're on R bad, you would hope that they're able to take this momentum and try and make something work for them.
It's been a slow attack so far. You don't always see it go like this on Coastline. We're approaching that halfway mark through this round, and so far nothing has gone down. I don't believe anybody's even seen each other yet in terms of attackers and defenders. So they'll start to get into this plan. Maybe they don't even need any kills. You can see Nug's already getting this defuse down. He's halfway through it. There doesn't seem to be any sort of a response to this. If he can just get this down, they'd get 1 kill, but they're not even aware that the diffuser has been placed, and all of a sudden the pressure has been put right on top of our bad. They need to get this disable if they want to stay in this tournament, or at least have a chance this round to get in. They'll be able to fire a couple of shots around. Phone calls are ringing out. Euphoria is going to take down Cali. That's one first step, and Max is going to get another one. There's 3 who have fallen, and Skills Gorillas are looking even stronger. It's a 3-on-2. They're just sitting outside. They just need to protect this disable. Make sure it doesn't go down. Tuffy, one of the men who needs to try to get in on this. He's firing in towards the bar, but this isn't going to happen. It's going to be Nugs who takes him down. It's all up to one player. Nugs up against Carnage. He's going to need to make it in. His phone is ringing. He doesn't have any time at all. He needs to get forward and get this plant right now, but it doesn't happen. Stop the monkey business. Skills Gorillas are going to Challenger League. What a dominant performance we saw in that second map. I mean, our bad. They looked so good attacking on Clubhouse. It was such a back and forth one, but eventually Coastline, they seemed to just...
Yeah, Coastline was absolutely their map. Euphoria really not showing up at all on Coastline. Found 5 assists, but that's a tough way to go right now for our bad, especially with how good Rav was playing. Rav was absolutely monstrous throughout both of those maps, and you know you really hate to see it if you're on our bad, but you absolutely love to see it right now if you're on the side of Silla's Gorillas. Absolutely monstrous and dominant performance to come out for them, taking the Coastline 7-3 after taking map 1 in a very close 8-7 fashion. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that map 1 was our bats, and they needed to win that map in order to have at least some kind of cushion moving into map number 2, and it was all on the line.
Actually, sorry to cut you off there, but yeah,
no, you're good. So either way, so let's girls move on to Challenger League. Congrats to them.
That's a bit of an upset too. I don't think many people had Skills Gorillas like when this bracket was first drawn up. I don't think many people had them advancing into the top 5 and advancing into Challenger League. So certainly I didn't. Maybe I'm just sleeping on them. But huge congrats to them. They came into this tournament, I think 12th or 13th seed. I want to say 13th seed. Yes, they did. So pretty nuts. They made it top.
Yeah, I actually had Skills Gorillas pegged to win it all in the winners bracket. But, you know, they lost 2-0 to Taicho. But so far, my prediction stands. They make it into Challenger League.
Fair enough.
So the 4 teams right now, let's take a look at the bracket. Let me flip over to a display capture real quick. Oh.
Well, we know at least 2 of them who moved on today, Skills Gorillas and Toon Squad, the 2 newest members to Challenger League season number 9, and they joined the other 5 teams who have already been sitting, waiting for the rest of their opponents to be determined.
Yeah, so Toon Squad 2-0. Goober Squad, Are Bad loses 2-0 against SG. So the 4 teams right now out of 5 are going to be Vicious, Organized Chaos, Toon Squad, and Are Bad. And tomorrow we will have, at least I think it's tomorrow if I'm not mistaken, it'll be Goober Squad and Are Bad facing off for the 5th and final spot that is vacant right now for Challenger League. And if Obey had stuck together and you know, wanted to grind out their Challenger League, try to make it back, that would have been it for Are Bad and Goober Squad. But, you know, fortunate for these 2 teams, they are able to have one final chance at making Challenger League. And in real honesty, both teams deserve it. They fought so hard to get here, and it's so heartbreaking to go out on a 2-0 right now for Are Bad. They put in so much time and effort into their strategies, into their practice, and just to get shut down like that on the second map after having such a close one on Coastline, that's a heartbreaker.
The heartbreak has been going on all week. That's one thing I didn't even think about before this week started, but so many dreams being crushed this week. It's really sad to see. After every game happens, every single night you go on Twitter and you just see all these players who are so hopeful to make it in Challenger League. And not everybody can be a winner, of course. That's the nature of competition. So some of these players, they'll just have to figure out what they're doing next, grinding for next month or for next season number 10. That might be where some people are focused on right now. But yes, in terms of the 2 teams that won tonight, big congratulations to Toon Squad and Skills Gorillas. For Goober Squad and Our Bad, their journey is not over just yet. They'll be able to play later on to determine who gets that 5th and final spot. An opportunity no other region's going to get because everybody else stuck together. So big things coming up for one of those 2 teams. That'll be a crazy matchup, I'm sure.
Yeah. So let's review how all 4 of these teams made it into Challenger League. So we had Vicious 14-3 something, forcing them down into the lower bracket very quickly.
Yep.
And then the Goober Squad, you know, they're the only squad to take off a map from the number 1 seed. And that's the only map that Vicious has lost since the beginning of the Challenger League qualifiers. And in number 1, Vicious went 24-0 throughout the open qualifier. And then they went 26-27. They're at a 28-1 record right there, 30. And then they play Vicious and Organized Chaos for a seeding, I assume. Whoever wins that will go on to the grand final. And then on the Our Bad side of things, they 2-1 least wanted. Very, very big upset right there. And then,
oh yeah.
And then on top of that, you had Skills Gorillas 2-1 least wanted, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check here. Yeah. So